Today, we're going to be taking a look at some of the FNAF fan games that absolutely nail what great horror should feel like. From unforgettable atmospheres to terrifying moments that stick with you for long after you stop playing, these games understand that true horror is about much more than just jump scares. Some of these are among the best horror experiences the community has ever created, so let's dive into them. Stories in Five Nights at Freddy's games. Typically, one of the most talked about parts of these games we love so much. However, I do need to bring up a question. When's the last time you've heard a FNAF story that you actually found interesting? After all, most of the stories in the genre are just retellings of the original story, and I think we can all agree it's starting to get old. Of course, every once in a while we get a masterpiece like Graveyard Shift at Freddy's or Chica's Party World Rebaked, but when's the last time you can really say you heard something completely new? Well, the game we'll be talking about today, in my opinion, has one of the best stories of all time. Split into two games, it goes on to tell one of the most unique stories FNAF has ever told. And the time between releases was almost an entire decade, with the second game only coming out earlier this year. The game we'll be talking about today is called The Last Sigh, the FNAF game with the most depraved story. The Last Sigh begins with a cutscene which takes place in an 8-bit minigame side-scroller. Usually these minigames are top-down, so this was pretty interesting. The art was actually pretty nice as well, and before we really dive into this game, I should make it clear that originally I'm pretty sure this game was in Spanish, as it has just been dubbed into English. So in some places there will probably be some spelling errors in translation. The opening cutscene gives us our main character, whose name is Valentina, which is 100% the name of a porn star. Actually, I just checked, and while it's not the first name of a porn star, it is the last name of one. In this cutscene, we learn that our grandma, whose name is Omegna, which is insane by the way, has given us a job as a security guard at her antique shop. Why does a family-owned shop need an overnight guard? That I have no idea. Either way, our mother isn't happy with us because she wants us to have a different job. Why? I don't know. A job is a job. Why are you pissed off? Vernon, the name of this guy, no idea what relation he has to Valentina, but whatever. He says that our mom is impatiently waiting for us, and our grandma wants us to sign the contract to work for her quickly since the shop has been suffering. And first of all, why would I sign a contract to work for my grandmother? That just seems a bit weird. And second of all, if the business is struggling, why are you hiring another employee? That doesn't even make sense. Eventually, we do sign the contract and voila, get the reasoning for this entire game even existing. We even get a cute little note from our grandma telling us good luck, which is usually just seen as a kind gesture, but in this specific situation, I'm going to take it as a sort of threat. After that, we get our first phone call, and this is where I noticed that this game does phone calls exactly how Project Readjusted 1 did phone calls. That being having the phone call take place before the actual night. While that may be nice to help us just sit and listen, something you'll notice about these calls is that they are literally long as fuck. And to really let you know how long they're going to be, I'm just gonna play out the first call in its entirety, since it also does a really good job of setting the scene for this game.
Hello? Cristobal?
Hello? Valentina? Is that you?
Yeah, it's me. What's up? Why did you call me at this hour?
Well, your parents asked me to call you in order to be sure that you and Camilo have arrived at Granny's shop and that it's alright. It could be done by their own, but, you know, they're a bit busy with their business trip and all that.
Yeah, I know. By the way, it's not necessary for you to call me and worry about me. I'm fully grown up. I can take care of myself.
If you say so. By the way, it's probably that they're more worried of Camilo than any other thing. By the way, how is he?
He's alright. He's sitting in the corner of the room playing with his tablet. He wanted to explore the place, but I'm scared of letting him go around alone. When I officially start my shift, I'll send him to sleep in the back room. It's full of boxes and those things, but I adjusted it to make it more comfortable. To be honest, I feel it was dumb of my parents to have him come with me. Also, this place is a bit spooky during the night.
Spooky?
Yeah, it looks like the perfect place to make a horror movie with those overused jump scares and those cheap resources.
Come on. Don't be shy. I don't believe that ghosts and those things really exist.
I don't know if I believe that, but I feel as though one of those armors at the entrance will become alive and start moving around.
Oh, I think you have seen a lot of television, cousin. From now on, only focus on watching who enters to rob the things of the shop. Then, if you like, you can worry if the doll of your room is cursed or not.
So funny. Alright, what else do my parents say?
Well, they also asked me to try and convince you to quit that job. But I know you aren't going to do it, even if I asked you to do it. You're so obstinate.
It isn't only obscenity. I need the money. I've been more than a month without work. Also, Grandma needs my help.
I know, don't worry. I'm not going to ask you to quit, but just take care of yourself. If anything bad happens, call me, okay?
Okay, I'll have it in mind. Although I'm economically bad, I still can't pay for the phone bill.
I see. It's fine. I'll call you tomorrow then. Now, I gotta leave, because I have an early shift in the police department.
Alright. Anyway, I have to rest too. Talk to you tomorrow. Rest well.
You too. Take care. Good night.
So, that was long as fuck, huh? The reason I showed you that call is because it explains a lot of backstory about our character that I didn't want to have to talk about myself because I don't really like the lore of these games, I can't lie. But here we go. We're watching for thieves and apparently the place is haunted. Who gives a shit? Let's just get into the actual gameplay. But hold up, guys. I gotta interrupt again to tell you all that we officially are partnering with Makeship again to bring you an all-new Romeo Skaggs plushie, baby! You guys absolutely loved the first Skaggs plush that we released a few months ago, and I've been getting messages from you guys showing me that the new plushies have finally arrived. And since our last campaign did so well, Makeship wanted to work with me again. No petition this time. Just go to the link in my description to pick up your very own Romeo Skaggs. He'll be there for you when the Huzz aren't, which, let's be honest, is probably all the time. And I'll make a deal with you guys. If we can get this Romeo Skaggs plushie to get 1,000 sales by the end of the campaign, we will release another plushie of Skaggs in a maid dress, since I know that's something a lot of you freaks have been wanting. And our last plush almost sold 800, so I know that this is a milestone that we can hit. What are you waiting for? Go to the link in my description and cop yourself the new Romeo Skaggs for when you're having those lonely nights. Thanks again for all of your guys' support. I wouldn't be where I was today if it wasn't for you. Now, let's get back to the video. Sorry for interrupting twice. All right, so night one. I'm just gonna come right out and say it. This game is fucking terrible. Holy shit, it's so fucking bad. But we'll get into exactly why as the video goes on. Before we start talking about the 7 threats this night introduces, yes, I'm serious, it introduces fucking 7 of them, we should talk about the tools at our disposal. Let's start with our flash beacon. It's basically just a flashlight, but shittier. You know how with a flashlight you can toggle it on and off? Well, not the flash beacon. Every time you click, a fraction of a second of light will burst out of the shot, basically illuminating nothing. You have no battery life for this beacon, so if you want to see something, then what you have to do is just fucking spam click a lot, and this is what it'll look like. Doesn't that just look so fucking fun and totally not the most annoying thing in the entire world? Of course, we have a camera system as well, as you probably could have guessed. They also have no power attached to them, thankfully. Something to point out about them is that there is a metric shitload of characters you'll have to look through. Except I kind of lied, because even though this game has this many fucking cameras, only about 5 of them are even actually important, so we'll just get used to those. You can also use your flash beacon while the cameras are up, so if there's something in your office and you know it's there, you can flash it with your beacon while searching through the cameras, which honestly is pretty nice. The final tool I want to talk about right now is the turntable. To your left, you will see this turntable and it's connected to an extension cord. You have to click on the glowing red switch to turn it on, and once it's on, the power to the building gets turned off and is used to power the turntable. I really have no idea why this happens, but it happens, so let's just live with it. All right, that's about all of the tools that really matter. So let's jump into talking about the whopping 7 fucking threats introduced on this night. I have no idea whose idea was to add that many, but fuck it, let's just talk about all of them. And just a fair warning, warning, the names for the characters in this game are flat out the most retarded shit I've ever heard, so prepare yourself. The first character we'll talk about is Huggins the Clock. And yes, it's literally just your clock. They made it a threat because fuck it, why not? Pretty cool though, I can't even lie, I've never seen something like that before. Every single time the clock changes to a new hour, Huggins will desynchronize his clock from the actual time. When he does, you'll have to quickly add or remove an hour from the clock to sync it back up. If you don't, then he's gonna put his clock without the L directly in your rear. Pin and Pawn are the next two fuckers I want to mention. They're these little stupid dolls on your right desk. At random, they will just fall over. Fucking retards. When they do, all you have to do is flash them and they'll jump back up onto their stands. If one of them leaves the table, you don't lose, but if both of them leave, then it's game over. Something you might be noticing is that these threats are not very challenging sounding at all. And while that's true that most of the characters in this game don't pose that big of an issue, what makes the game truly fucking horseshit is its terrible case of post-shift 2 syndrome, as it literally never tells you under any circumstance how to deal with these threats. It's not mentioned in any phone calls, it's not written down anywhere, and there's not even an explanation after you die to a character. You're just left to fucking figure it out on your own. Do you know how stupid that is? Do you know how retarded that is? Who made this game? Satan? Because I don't know anybody else that could create dog shit quite as steamy as this fucking pile of fecal matter right here. Anyways, let's continue. There's still a fuck ton of characters to talk about. Just keep in mind that you're never told what I'm about to tell you. Handy the Panda is both the most generic name for a panda of all time and the next threat this night introduces. Pandy will start on camera 2B and move to 1B, then 1A, then 3C. Before we continue, I want to mention that every single animatronic in this game has the exact same sound cue, and it is incredibly loud directly in my fucking ears. When Pandy gets to your office, you need to very precisely put your mouse in the middle of his face, not a pixel too far left or too far right in the middle. Then spam your beacon right in his stupid bear eyes. Do this enough and he'll start violently shaking, which would imply you gave him a seizure, which I really hope is canon. And then after that, keep flashing him more since you can't stop when he's shaking. Only then will he finally leave you alone. All right, Dovey the dog is the next character to talk about. He is the first of 4 camtronics I want to talk about. And camtronic is a new term I'm coining to reference a character in a FNAF game that solely takes place on the cameras. I expect it to be used forever now. Thank you. Anyways, Dovey is super easy. Most basic camtronic of all time. He will start in Cam 2A. He's gonna try to progress through 3 different phases in this camera, and all you have to do is flash him once to make him go back on stage. If at any point you let him progress 2 stages, then he'll never be able to go back to stage 1, instead having his furthest back stage be stage 2, obviously making him much more scary to deal with overall. So how about we all just agree to not let that happen? Next up is Trojan, not the condom. Instead, it's the troll face mafia gangster. Yes, I'm serious, that's its name. I think it'd be more serious sounding if he was just a box of condoms, I can't even lie. Trojan starts in camera 3A and is quite literally exactly the same as Dovey. Seriously, the mechanic is identical. Just flash him to keep him away, and that's it. Next up is Dibby and Daba. Holy shit, these might be the worst fucking names yet. I can't quite decide. They're all so uniquely terrible. These characters are basically just one since they move together in tandem. They're in camera 3B, and they do the exact same thing as Trojan and Dovey. Are you beginning to notice a pattern with these camera characters? Because I am. They're all the fucking same. Flash to keep them back. Moving on. Finally, we move on to Karen, who is the name of a fucking dragon. So why the hell did they give a dragon the name Karen? Who knows? But do you guys want to take a guess what she does? She starts in either camera 4A or camera 4B. She can move between these 2 cameras whenever she wants, but her central mechanic is exactly the same as all of the other camtronics. That being, you just have to flash her every once in a while to stop her from fucking you. Hooray! Doesn't this just sound like such a fun, cool, and awesome game? No. Yeah, that's because it's just fucking not. This game doesn't have any post-night minigames, so that means we're free to just jump right into night 2, is what I would say if we didn't have another phone call. And remember how long that last phone call was? Yeah. Well, the phone call for night 2 is 6 fucking minutes long! No, I'm not joking! Why the hell is it so fucking long? It's double the length of the first night, and we're not even in game, so we can't even click through the cameras. We're actually just stuck looking at this stupid fucking wall for 6 minutes while some bitch talks into my ear about some shit I'm really not paying attention to. God fucking damn it, bro. During the phone call, Valentina mentions no signs of intruders, but of course mentions the moving characters. Parallels are drawn to the robots that move around the Fazbear restaurants, so I guess this game takes place in the same universe, so that's pretty cool. Haven't really seen that since we've covered Jolly. They talk about how the characters are sensitive to light, which we've already had to figure out on our own. Our cousin says she'll bring it up to Grandma, but for some reason, we say we'd rather figure it out on our own. Why? I don't fucking know. Moving on to the night section. Night 2 introduces 3 new threats, bringing the total up to 10, and it's only the second night, so I guess I'll just kill myself. The first goon I want to talk about is Snowball and Ghost, the first not completely retarded name I've heard in this game. And these characters are the sole reason why we need our record player or the turntable. It's the same fucking thing. He serves to be an annoyance character and not a character that will actually kill you. Throughout the night, Snowball will turn off your fucking turntable himself, and will keep his finger over it to prevent you from turning it on. This is where Ghost comes into play. While your turntable is off, Ghost will start to slowly manifest in front of your desk. Once he fully appears, he'll rip you limb from limb. Now you might be thinking, if I can't interact with Snowball, how am I supposed to prevent this from happening? Well, once again, the game never fucking tells you this. But after a certain amount of time, God knows what, Snowball will just choose to take his finger off the turntable with no sound cue, allowing you to turn it back on. So you just need to constantly be checking on this guy to know if it's safe or not to look at him again. And look at this stupid fucker's smug ass face. Stop looking at me like that before I take your carrot and shove it right up your ass. Next up is Matty Gavillion, who I'm just going to be calling Matt because typing Matty Gavillion just takes way too fucking long and I'm not about to do all that like 16 times. Occasionally, Matt will start to play a little tune on his guitar. The song will either be in your left or right ear. If you hear it in your right ear, you have to flash your vent, which I've neglected to mention so far because up until this point it hasn't been important. Anyways, if you hear the guitar on your left side, then all you have to do is flash the hallway until it stops, and congratulations, you done. Moving on, the final threat introduced on this night is Cocoa Bite, who is pretty straightforward. He will make his way from camera 2 all the way to the front of your office. You deal with him in the exact same way you deal with Pandy. You may be wondering why I'm talking about a game that's this fucking boring, so I'll go ahead and spoil the surprise for you. This game has a sequel that is a lot fucking cooler and that I really do want to talk about. But in order for me to do that, I have to first talk about this fucking dumpster fire. Anyways, night 3 time. Phone call for night 3 is 5 fucking minutes long for absolutely no reason whatsoever. Solely this long, probably just to piss me off. The phone call reveals another instance of supernatural phenomena where Valentina experiences nervousness and hallucinations intensified by the turntable's music. The cousin provides advice to unplug the turntable, but Valentina hesitates for sentimental reasons and practical concerns of breaking antiques. The turntable cannot simply be unplugged because of the snowman's interference. Maybe perhaps cutting it would work. They talk about not bringing Camillo, which I'm pretty sure is Valentina's cousin, in for night 4, and that's really all the phone call has to talk about. During night 3, you get the ability to cut the cord on the outlet to the turntable, but spoiler alert, if you do, Snow Bitch will just kill you, so don't do that. Pretty cool that you're allowed to though. This night only introduces one new threat, but if there's one thing you know about this game, it's the guy we're about to talk about. His name is Nabar, which those of you with a keen eye will be able to notice is an anagram for Barney. And the reason why it's an anagram? Oh yeah, it's because Nabar is literally just fucking Barney. Why did they not call him Barney? I have no idea. Unfortunately, he's not even remotely interesting at all. He's just exactly the same as both Pandy and Cocoa Bite. Get to the office, spam flash him, and he leaves. Boring as fuck. Now, at the end of the night, we get some dialogue of Valentina going into the back room where Camillo is supposed to be, except Camillo is fucking missing because he was kidnapped, and it was at this point where I really started to question what the fuck I was even playing. We hear a scream, presumably Camillo's, followed by a disembodied voice saying, and night 3 comes to a close. У меня голова болит, пиздец просто. What a wild ride so far. Let's move on to the night 4 phone call, which thankfully this time is only a single minute long, so I'll just let it play out.
Valentina, where are you?
In Grandma's store, of course. I have to find Camillo.
Are you crazy? It's dangerous. You should stay home. The complaint is already made. and your parents will come back tonight. Leave the search for Camilo to the police.
I can't do it, Cristobal. Don't you understand? I can't sit idly by for the cops to decide to act. They said they can't do anything until several days have passed since the complaint. I don't plan to wait that long.
It's part of their protocol.
I don't care about protocol. What if it's too late? You know what? Forget this. I'll find Camilo by myself.
Night 4 introduces 2 new threats, and thankfully, one of them actually has a new mechanic, so let's just quickly talk about the fucking snooze fest first, that being Bait and Clop. He's just handy again, come to your office, flash, boring as fuck, now into the goods. The next threat introduced on this night is called the Armor. The Armor is really fucking cool, but he's so slow that you'll honestly barely encounter him, which is really unfortunate because once again, he's really cool. It'll make its way from the entrance to your office, and this time, instead of just flashing his face, you have to turn on the turntable until he leaves. Now listen, I know I said he was gonna be interesting, but shut the fuck up and trust me, we're not done talking about this game yet, so it'll get a little bit better, I promise. But that's really all Night 4 has going on, so let's move on to Night 5. Night 5's phone call is back up to 5 fucking minutes for no reason. Why is it doing this to me? I want to kill myself. This is torture. Valentina makes a voicemail to Cristobal. She's expressing her deep concern over his and Camilo's disappearance and the supernatural events encountered. She speculates that the antiques and animatronics themselves might be responsible for the thefts and movement within the store, indicating sentient or autonomous behavior in the haunted setting. Suddenly, a sinister voice mocks the player, marking the probable endgame scene or a game over scenario. The antagonist reveals they had to get rid of Cristobal and warns the player they might not escape alive, though she might get to meet him soon. Alright, Night 5 introduces both the best, yet at the same time most frustrating character throughout this entire game. That character is Nico Gavillion, who I'm just going to be calling Nico since that's a hell of a lot easier. Throughout the night, Nico will randomly appear in front of you with a ring around him. The ring will be filled with letters of the alphabet completely scrambled around. You need to click the letters to spell the word Nico using the letters around him. This is a really interesting mechanic, and I've never seen anything quite like it. I'm not gonna question how it makes sense since this game has already made it clear there's weird paranormal shit, so who knows, maybe Nico just doesn't like his own name for some reason. Also, for what purpose did they have to make this guy's head so fucking big? God damn, bro! Of course, the AI of all of the other characters are increased as well, but that goes without saying. But that's all this night really has to offer. After completing it, we hear Valentina send a voicemail to her grandma. The final voicemail to grandma frames most of the events. 5 nights of ongoing terror at the antique store, strange animatronics, and supernatural activity. Valentina insists on meeting in person to reveal the bizarre occurrences, acknowledging the disbelief others might have, but underscoring the urgency and danger. She states before she leaves that she wants to look around the place, noting a door she saw that piqued her interest. And yes, by the way, of course, even after that, there's still a Night 6. And no, there's no boss fight night. That wasn't really a big thing back when this game was made. It's just a harder version of Night 5. Who really cares? What we do care about is the cutscene that takes place after Night 6. This cutscene goes back to the 8-bit style we saw at the beginning of the game. In this minigame, it's revealed that our grandma has been evil the whole time or some stupid bullshit nobody cares about. The part that's actually kind of cool is Valentina gets fucking jumped by grandma and is stuffed inside of a puppet suit left to die. Fantastic. Nice to know all that work we did was for nothing. Anyways, that's all the last Psy 1 has to offer. As I've already said, there's another game that I actually really do want to talk about, so we'll hop into that in just a moment. But I really want to mention how piss poor this game is. Granted, this is probably one of the oldest fan games to come out of this community, so you can give it a little bit of leeway there, but I just can't get over how there are like 15 characters in this game, yet somehow only 4 mechanics. That's just insane to me. Really gives off some FNAF 2 syndrome, which like, yuck. I hate that shit. Anyways, let's jump into a much better game, The Last Psy 2. The Last Psy 2 opens to yet another 8-bit cutscene. We get to see Valentina being put into the suit again, picking up right where we left off. Grandma casts a fucking spell that does a body swap using her own soul, which is just insane. Didn't know Grandma knew the dark arts like that. We then see Coco Bite, yes, the animatronic, talk to Cristobal, who I'm pretty sure is Valentina's cousin. It never says that this is Cristobal, but I literally have no idea who else this could possibly be. And I'm pretty confident that it is indeed Cristobal. Anyways, Coco Bite says he'll let us go so that this is on our back. That's literally what he says word for word. I think what this is supposed to mean is that the vision of Valentina dying will forever be looming over our shoulders. Like, we'll hold the weight on our shoulders. I'm guessing that's what that means. I'm not totally sure. Again, originally these games are in Spanish, but he says that next time there will be no witnesses. We then get another cutscene talking about some functionality test. We click on the snow dick a few times and then see the armor, and then this happens? The screen turns red? I don't really know why, but that's what happens, so sure. That's cool, I guess. And with that, we're thrown into this game's version of the phone calls, which thankfully are actually something this time and not just boring dick. During this section, we're put into an old haunted building. We get a call from a girl named Francesca, and she asks us if we have everything ready to get going. She gives us the rundown on where we are and what we need to do each night. Who cares? The name of the place we're at is a theater called Eternos Recuerdos. While on the phone with Fran, we're not able to respond to her for some reason. However, we have a camera in our clothes, which I'm assuming is just like a body cam or something, as this was another line a bit lost in translation, and that we should flicker our light for our responses to what she's saying. We have 5 things with us every single night: our earphones to listen to Fran, our flashlight, which you may notice in this game calls a lantern. This affects puppets and animatronics. We get a screwdriver for some fucking reason. I really don't know why. A defense device, which I will just be calling the DD. We use this to hack into different systems, whatever that means. And of course, it needs electricity to function. And finally, we have a lighter in case the flashlight isn't enough light. Sure. As we walk through the doors, we enter a U-shaped hallway of the theater. There are 3 paths that we can take. However, on night 1, we only need to go right. Before we get to the office, we have to go upstairs to reach the room every night. We can run up the stairs. However, there are puppets close to us that could attack us if we run. But if we just take longer and walk up the stairs instead, they won't ever attack. So just take your fucking time and walk to avoid the problem. They always say the best way to block an attack is not have to block it in the first place. And that applies here too. Once we get to the office, we're told our goal for the night. But before we talk about that, let's go over all of the tools at our disposal. To start, there are 4 directions we can look. Directly in front of us is our computer, to our right is a window, to our left is the door, and behind us is a bookshelf. We of course have a camera system. However, we need to flash activate them to see the rooms. This will be a lot more important later, so I'll talk more about it then. In this game, there are also a very small amount of cameras, which I'm very grateful for since the last game almost gave me a heart attack with how much it had. Once again, we have infinite power, so we don't have to worry about that either. Our DD, or defense device, is our main source of defense, as the name would suggest. It has its own tab, kind of like the mask from FNAF 2. However, you cannot use it at the same time as your cameras. This thing is a little confusing to use and is really a pain in the ass. We have to use it to hack the PC password and get into the PC for the tasks we have to complete. When an animatronic gets near, a notification will show up on the DD. Pull the DD up and it will give you exact instructions on where to point your flashlight. You don't need the device to be selected on a specific character for this to work. It has all the animatronics and Huggins the clock for some reason, even though I never encountered him during the night sections, which would make me think he's a rare encounter or something like that. And our DD has infinite power, so that's really nice to not have to constantly worry about that. The next tool is our flashlight, which of course we use to deal with the animatronics. There's no power source to it, and this time it doesn't only light up for a fraction of a second and is actually a normal flashlight for the love of fuck. It works in tandem with the DD like I've already mentioned, as the DD will tell you a random part of the animatronic's face you have to shine the flashlight at. It's going to swap between facial features multiple times, so just make sure you're really ready to pay attention. Every animatronic has a different location and a different amount of times you need to flash them. So that means it's time for us to start talking about the threats that this night introduces. The first is Pandy. You remember him, right? Yeah, you remember him. He's cool. He'll make his way to your door. Once he sprints in front of you, you have to flash him 3 different times in 3 different places to make him go away. Again, the DD will tell you which places to do this in, and since it's random each time, I can't really tell you. This is super easy, but of course, it's only night 1, so that's to be expected. The next threat introduced on this night is Coco Bite. He's a lot slower moving than Pandy is, but overall he's the same, except he goes to your window. So this whole night will pretty much just be a Five Nights at Candy simulator where you look left, look right, and respond when you need to. Now, all of that was pretty boring, so let's move on to the tasks that we have to complete during this night. Of course, we need to hack into our wicked bitch grandma's PC and upload her files onto our DD. Every night requires a different type of files, and as you can see, there are a fuck ton of files that we have to upload each night. On night 1, we need to steal 90 megabytes of audio files. They're not all in one spot, and you'll actually have to dig through her files to be able to find them, which I actually think is pretty cool. That doesn't sound like a lot, but Grandma's internet is doo-doo ass, so this is gonna take a while. Something really interesting about this game is that if you complete the tasks before the night ends, then the night will end early, which is really nice and I like a lot. There's no post-night minigame, so we can just jump right into night 2, which does have us go on a side quest before going to the office. Once we get to the hall, Fran has us go down the left hall to investigate. We're greeted by a locked door. On the right, a doll and a door. We're told we have to find a key. All we have to do is knock on the locked door, look at the doll, pick up the key that the doll has for some fucking reason. This is like some Ao Oni shit, and enter the room before the doll can straight tickle my shit. Entering the room, we're told to turn our light on and exorcise spirits inhabiting different objects. Really getting into the paranormal stuff in this fan game, and I'm all for it. We have to exorcise 8 groups of objects, and at the top of the screen, we'll see which object has progress, and the progress doesn't increase if we aren't holding our light on them, which is how we exorcise them. Of course, one of these little side quests wouldn't be complete without a threat we have to deal with at the same time, and this time we have to deal with Barney. Barney will randomly show up on either the far left or far right sides of the room. All we have to do is flash him and he'll go away. Simple shit, really, but after that, we can go to the office. The file choice we have to download tonight is text files. You do this the same way you did it the last night. We have 2 new threats introduced on this night, and one of them is already recurring from approximately 37 seconds ago. So let's start by talking about Barney. Barney is just an eye slut. Awesome. We love those in our FNAF games, don't we? Barney is in camera 5, and he will make his way through several phases before attempting to spit inside of you. Literally, all you have to do is stare at him with the flash on, and this will make him go away. Not very hard at all, and you really won't have to do it that often during this night. Plus, you'll get a warning at the bottom of the screen when he's attacking anyways, so it's super easy. The other character introduced on this night is Jimmy. Quite literally the first normal name in this entire series. Jimmy is the character that sits behind you. Throughout the night, he will slowly wind himself up behind you. He'll try to move around a lot in an attempt to kill you, but he also toys with you a little bit. You will have to check behind you very often, and if he ever moves from behind you, he will either go to your left or your right. Figure out which side he went to and flash your light on him, and he'll go back to being behind you, and the cycle will continue. But that's really all we have to talk about, and at this stage in the game, you won't really need a strategy since it's really easy, and I honestly think that finding the files you need to find is a lot more difficult than actually dealing with the threats. Alright, night 3. The moment I knew this series needed to be covered in a white video, since this night really shows off how this is not going to be your normal FNAF fan game. It's so much more. During this night, by the time you get to the theater, there's already an animatronic activated and waiting for you. Going into the hallways, we see Cocoa Bite waiting for us, so we run to the auditorium. Once we load into the auditorium, the game turns into a fucking first-person free roam game. What the fuck? This is so cool. I was honestly not expecting this at all, and this section of the game is honestly one of my favorites. In this auditorium with us is Pandy, who will randomly roam around. Our goal is to scan Pandy with our DD for a reason I'm not totally sure on, but of course, we can't let Pandy see us. We will have to follow him around the room, hiding behind chairs so that we're not spotted. This section is in no way difficult, but I do think it's super fucking cool and something that more fan games need. We need sections in games where interesting shit like this happens. It makes the whole process feel so much more enjoyable. I actually have no idea why we need to get data from him, and this honestly just raises a lot more questions. After leaving the auditorium, you get the option to either leave the building or go to the office. Spoiler alert, if you choose to leave, Cocoa Bite will just pack your shit up because he's waiting for you by the entrance. So our only real option is to go into the office and start the night section. The file type on this night we have to upload is image files, and I'm really hoping we don't find Grandma's goon folders while searching. Alright, on this night we have 2 new threats introduced, and one of the previous threats gets an upgrade that makes him a lot more aids. So let's start with him. This character in question is our favorite fucker, Barney. He can now attack any camera with a visual cue of his fake form. When this happens, you must find him on the cameras. Fucking just Shoot me in my fucking head. I can't remember the last time I didn't have to say that in a white video. Please kill me. Anyways, once you find him there will be 6 letters circling him. This part is very reminiscent of Nico from the first game. Take a look at these letters around Barney. I want you to take a guess what it is we have to spell with these letters. Go ahead, take a look. I'll give you some time. Let's look together. I'm not fucking seeing it. I'm not fucking seeing it. All right, that's enough time. Did you make your guess? Well, I bet you got it wrong because you have to spell no real and he'll finally fuck off. Why do you have to spell no real? And why does this work? I have no idea. Don't get me wrong, I love the new mechanic, but I would also love it if it made sense too. Anyways, the next threat introduced on this night is Barry. Barry attacks your door and he's way more difficult than Pandy and Cocoa Bite are. He only has 3 places to flash him. However, he moves like a fucking crack addict in Florida whenever you flash him, making you have to play aim trainer like when you're in school trying to copy what the teacher wrote on the board, but they're low-key standing in front of it. The whole flashing process with Barry also takes a fuck of a lot longer than both Pandy and Cocoa Bite. So say your prayers, little boy, because if you don't got aim, I hate to break it to you, but you're totally fucked. The final threat introduced on this night is Bait and Clop. Foul and disgusting name, by the way. He's pretty much the same as Barry, except he attacks your window instead of your door. And holy fucking shit, if you thought Barry spazzed out when you flashed him, you are not ready for Bait and Clop. Just look at this little fucking sped. He's going insane. I wish you the best of luck if you have bad hand-eye coordination, because this is fucking brutal. Oh my god. All right, now it's time for us to talk about night 4. Tonight, we have to go to the left hallway and investigate because we make terrible decisions instead of leaving. Do you remember the other door on the right side of the hall from last night? Yeah. That's where we're going. You'll have to deal with a little doll before entering the room. All you have to do is hold your light on him, and that's it. Then we can enter the room and the real fun can begin. Once you enter the room, we get greeted to just a bunch of random shit. We can see a Bonnie mask, statues, cum socks, and for some reason, even the rat from Five Nights at Candy's 3 is here, which is pretty interesting. Anywho, of course, there's a threat, and that threat is Jimmy, who I am not excited to see at all. So this part is really fucking confusing, I can't lie, but I do think it's pretty cool. Basically, you'll have to hold your light on Jimmy to keep his ass on the floor. He will jump up and move around the room like Vinny from Five Nights at Candy's 3, so you'll have to be following him around quickly. Once he drops to the floor, another doll will appear, and Fran tells us we have to burn her. This is the real reason we have that lighter. As we burn her, random words will start to appear and slide across the screen. You'll then have to hold the lighter on her and make sure your mouse doesn't touch any of the words, or else the doll will crawl up inside of you like that gerbil you didn't tell anybody about. You fucking disgusting freak. You'll have to repeat this process until you kill the doll, and then we take her with us for something else later. No, it's not sexual. Stop thinking like that. I'll get into why we take the doll with us in a little bit. Let's jump into the night section now. The file type we have to collect this time is video files. Now I'm really hoping we don't find Grandma's goon folder. This night doesn't introduce new threats, but it does upgrade the 3 threats we talked about last night. Barney now will not appear in camera 5 anymore, instead opting to just be an asshole and spam his spelling lesson attack a lot more, which really just makes my penis invert up inside of my body. Barry and Bait and Clop get the same upgrade on this night, but it really just makes them completely terrible. They were already pretty bad from how much they moved around, but on this night they can actually move the bookshelf behind you and fucking blow your guts up from the back whenever they feel like it. So now you've got a lot more shit you constantly have to check on, which just makes this night take a whole lot longer to beat. This night is where you'll actually start to need a strategy, since this is where the difficulty really starts to become apparent. Every 2 to 3 files you upload, you should turn around to check on Jimmy. After that, deal with any other immediate threat like Barry or Cocoa Bite. If Barney ever attacks, always deal with him first, since he will be your biggest issue by far. And the other animatronics will give you enough time to deal with him, thankfully. Whenever you deal with any threat, check on Jimmy, then go back to the files. This makes the night take a pretty long time, but it's by far the safest way to play. Now, it's at this point where this game gets really interesting. It consists of 2 different endings, and of course, I'll be going over both, covering the bad ending first. If you get all of the files from nights 1 through 4, instead of loading to the entrance, now you'll be greeted with a skull. He greets you with a somber, "Yo, here we are." That's how I imagine he sounded. Anyways, He states that you have every single piece in your hands and asks if we're smart enough to solve the small puzzle. I personally am retarded and have no idea what he's talking about. But if you say no or say yes and get the puzzle wrong, then you'll get to proceed to the bad ending. And he'll tell us that it's sad that our fate was decided, which really doesn't give me a good feeling at all. Loading into the entrance, we're told to go to the auditorium to investigate. Upon arriving, we see Huggins in the middle of the aisle. Literally just go left or right and he won't kill you. No problem. Making our way to the stage, we see an animatronic we don't know the name of, but it appears to be aggravated by our presence. We ignore it and leave for the office, only to find out that that very animatronic is following us. Getting inside of the office, the night begins, and at exactly 15 seconds, we're greeted to our DD bugging the fuck out and the computer being turned into a console, as the name on our DD changes to Rover. And that's a perfect segue into the only threat present on this night, Rover Lee. Rover Lee is obviously a boss fight character, with mechanics that were shown to us way back at the beginning of the game. Let's go over the computer first, since that will be the main way we deal with Rover. The computer has the text Rover Lee Lockdown Core. If you type help, you'll see 3 commands. CLS will clear the text on the screen, out will expel the souls for 15 seconds, I'll go over what that means in just a minute, and move X will move Rover towards a camera, so you can just replace the X with the name of the camera. When you use the out command, it takes between 25 and 35 seconds at random until the souls get expelled. Again, I'll get back to that in a second. The computer has a random chance to have an error, because RNG needs to be in every FNAF game for it to be interesting. The error will slow any expulsion, but will not cancel out the already expelled souls. All you have to do is click and hold a bar at the bottom of the monitor and you'll be chilling to get rid of it. Oh yeah, and you can only use the move command if Rover has all of the souls expelled. Now let's talk about Rover Lee, the actual boss. He has 5 different attacks that he can use, and I'm not gonna lie, some of them require the best hand-eye coordination I've ever seen in my life. His first attack is just him being an eye slut for a majority of the night. You have to watch him on camera 1A to stall him, but if he moves, he will never move back unless you specifically use the move command. His second attack, he'll have him reach your office, and if he does, you'll have to do a standoff against him. You will get a prompt saying that Rover is near your door. You have to look at the door with your DD up and then play some Five Nights at Candy's 3 type shit, tracking his face like this is aim labs. He'll jump from one side of your office to another, to behind the computer, to in your urethra, a whole bunch of fun shit. You need to have insane reflexes because you cannot afford to mess up for even a second. Honestly, it's best to just make sure he never reaches your office by using the move commands and stalling him, because this attack can quite literally last for the entire night. It's fucking brutal. Attacks 3 and 4 are pretty much the same, so I'll talk about them at the same time. Rover is possessed by 2 different souls, and each of them can attack you. The blue soul can only attack your door, and the orange soul can only attack your window. This is where your DD really comes into play. You have to tune the color frequency of your DD to match the color of the soul that is attacking you. That doesn't make any fucking sense, but it pleases the demons, so please the demons I will do to make them hop up off me. His 5th and final attack has both of the souls attack you from behind. When this happens, you have to turn around and face a Rover-like ghost. You need to look him in the eyes like your girlfriend asked you to do, but you have autism, so it makes it really hard, and use the DD to match the color frequency 3 times instead of just 1. Sometimes the color can change, and sometimes it'll stay the same, which is obviously the option we'd want because that's easier. The strategy for this night is generally easy, but acting like this night doesn't require more skill than most of the other Final Nights I've talked about on this channel would be an understatement. The moment the night starts, you'll want to immediately type out. Once this happens, stare at Rover until you need to deal with the souls or fix the console. Rinse and repeat until the end of the night. And honestly, if Rover ever gets into your office, just restart. Because I promise you, you're not going to survive that fight once he's in. You just won't. If you can survive all the way until 6 a.m., Rover Lee will enter your office and fucking kill you. Spotting that you've been controlling them from the computer, they are rightfully pissed the fuck off. A cutscene plays of Rover confronting Grandma, calling her daughter, saying that she lied to them, and complains a bunch like a woman. Then Rover fucking evaporates Cocoa Bite and Pandy and then RKOs the shit out of Grandma. Actually a batshit crazy insane ending that I personally love. But we can't forget that all of that was just the bad ending. We still have the good ending to talk about. Before we start talking about the good ending, we need to talk about the files we've been collecting throughout the game. I'll go over them in detail a bit later, but that's going to take a really long fucking time. So instead, I'll just give you the quick rundown summary now. Omegna, the grandma, had a sister named Sani. Their mom died and their dad became an alcoholic. They ran away after getting beat, only to be brought in by an old lady. Sani steals some shit and Omegna slaps her for doing so. Sani runs away and is never seen again. It was never Omegna that was doing all the shit we've been going through. Apparently it was Sani. Again, that's a very, very rough outline of these files. I'll do a deep dive in a few minutes. Don't you worry your pretty little head off. Yeah, guys, my favorite part about eating a Reese's cup is peeling the panties off. You're gonna leave that in, aren't you, editor? Asshole. Anyways, now we can talk about the good ending. Back to the skull, the puzzle he asks is, what trick did you fall for? There will then be letters for you to spell with, and you need to spell the word twins. These twins, I'm imagining, is in reference to the sisters. He then says that everybody fell for that, and then asks their names, which you will then need to input Omegna and Sani. He will then state that there is something more important than the names. He asks us which one is the which, and you need to answer Sani. Bars, by the way, right there. Sani was the one behind it all along. She fooled everyone and made Omegna go to prison for a crime she never committed. She made you think our family betrayed us. The skull then asks, who of them are in jail? Which of course we know is Omegna. So that's what you have to answer. Yes, by the way, this section is incredibly convoluted. I'm aware, just stay with me for a little bit longer. Finally, the skull says we know what we have to do and wishes us good luck. As we load into the entrance, we're told that we talked about a hidden room inside of the building. Fran is worried a bit, but trusts us and helps us by luring whatever is inside out. We're told to hide in the utility closet from way back in night 2. Entering the room, we're met with Barney. He looks very beaten up and broken, which is why he wasn't attacking on night 4 and camera 5. That makes sense now, and I honestly think it's a really small but cool reveal. He says the witch is who hurt him, the same person who took him back to life, giving him a new life. He says that the state he is in is the cost of the ones who made her angry. And I'm gonna be so honest, I have no idea what the fuck that means. I'm nowhere near smart enough to comprehend it, so hopefully you guys can. He says that nobody here will let us leave, not even the witch. He says to give up and turn ourselves in, and how he doesn't regret anything he did. He just wanted to see the kids smile. Now I really have no idea why the fuck he added in that last line. Very fucking weird, and I'm just gonna choose to move past it. We leave and are told by Fran that the bookshelf is open and it's clear to go in. Going through it, we find another staircase that leads to the home, the name of the place the animatronics go when they aren't active. Upon arrival, we notice that we have to unscrew a case to acquire a key. However, this is of course not going to be as easy as it sounds. During this section, we have two of the most fucking aggressive characters I've ever seen in my entire life. It is insane. But before we talk about them, let's go into the layout of this section. Looking to your left, you'll notice the doll you picked up from night 4. Her name is Jenny, and she is how you deal with both of these threats. But holy fucking shit, the hitbox on this goddamn doll head is fucking ass. So fucking tiny for no goddamn reason, fuck! You must drag Jenny's head to make her look at either of the two hallways to the room we're in. The left hall has Bait and Clop, and the right hall has Barry. Now, when I tell you guys that these two are aggressive, I mean it. Holy shit, the goal of this night is to just slowly unscrew 4 screws, but it takes so fucking long because these two will quite literally be attacking you every 2 seconds. And that's not an exaggeration. Just look at the screen right now and tell me this doesn't look fucking insane. Every time you successfully turn Jenny's head towards them and flash them to make them go away, they seriously have a chance to show up again immediately afterwards, making this section take fucking minutes and minutes longer than it would ever need to. And one of the best parts is that they can both attack you at the exact same time. That's just fucking perfection. I hate it here. Fuck! This means you literally have a chance, and a pretty likely chance at that, to encounter them 4 times in a row. You are going to make so little progress unscrewing these screws, it's ridiculous. However, once you manage to unscrew everything and grab the key we need, we go back upstairs and start the night. During hours 0 through 3 of the 5th night is all well and good, just the normal characters like we're used to. Except with one small tweak that they turned on the fucking gas this night because holy shit, it's like seriously quadrupled the difficulty of night 4. It is fucking insanely hard. All of that is well and good, but once you hit 3 a.m., Rover Lee activates and it's pretty much just night 5 from the bad ending. So just use the same strategy we used then and we'll be golden. No problem at all. Just for the love of fuck, don't let him get in your office, because that minigame is more impossible than Shadow, Rat, and Cat all challenges, I swear to God. Once you reach 6 a.m., Fran tells us she's sorry and that everything is ready for us. She also mentions to check the safe that's been in our office this entire game. Inside, we see the doll Valentina is possessing, which I actually think is really fucking cool. This part honestly reminds me a lot of the ending of Saw 2, which, quick little spoiler alert for those of you who haven't seen the Saw movies and really want to, it reminds me of the part at the end of Saw 2 where they reveal that the main character's kid has been stuck inside of a safe in the room they were in the entire time. It's so fucking cool, I love it. We grab Valentina and burn the building down as we leave. We then see a cutscene with Sanny. She's obviously pissed as fuck and is about to start her villain arc. She says she won't let herself be caught and that nobody is going to be happy, which just screams sequel right in my little gamer ears. But that is all the good ending has to offer. And now, sadly for me, I have to fulfill a promise I made a few minutes ago and talk about the files we collected, which is really just going into the extras and doing a fuck ton of reading. So let's just get all that bullshit over with. Let's start with the audio files. They consist of our great-grandfather's music, the sound of the curse Sanny uses, and Camillo's ghost, which is pretty fucked up. You have the ability to recreate the memories from these files, and doing so gives you an 8-bit minigame to play around in. The audio memory has us play as Omegna as a child as we see her father wallow in despair. She then leaves to go to her room and sleep, giving her dad some space. By the way, all of these minigames are going to piece together that summary I gave you before the good ending, so if it sounds like I'm repeating myself, it's pretty much because I am. The text files are a bunch of newspapers with a fuck ton of words. Like, oh my god, so many goddamn words, I really don't want to read them all, but fuck me, I'm gonna do it for the video. I'll have the editor put Subway Surfers or some shit on the screen, and for those of you that don't care about what these newspapers say, you can skip to the time on your screen right here to just learn about the minigame we'll be talking about directly after. Newspaper 1. Mysterious serial thefts of animatronic dolls continue to baffle the city. Friday, June 12th, 2015. All the missing animatronics belonged to large restaurant chains or family-run establishments with locations in the region. Last Thursday, June 11th, a fourth animatronic figure was reported missing in the city, this time from the Animagic's Burger Place, restaurant located on the outskirts of Santiago. The figure in question is Barry, a shark that performs magic tricks for the audience, and a companion to another of the missing animatronics. The establishment has already been closed for about a month due to the disappearance of another of its figures and the restaurant's mascot, Coco Bite. The security cameras had been damaged since the previous incident, so no footage was found of how the figure disappeared. With this incident, the total number of disappearances in just 2 months has reached 4. Previous disappearances included Pandy, whose original Chinese name is Tao, Batenclop, the animatronic from Batenclop's Terror House, and the aforementioned Coco Bite from Animagic Burger Place. The prosecutor's office claims to have no idea who is responsible for these thefts, nor their motive. We don't know what whoever is stealing these animatronics might want. The investigation hasn't yielded anything yet, stated PDI officer Diego Alarcon. In our opinion, the most likely scenario is that these thieves want to sell the pieces, but we can't confirm anything. There are more valuable items inside, so it's surprising they didn't take them. The officer also reported that the investigation is ongoing and that they will do everything possible to get to the bottom of this. On the other hand, the restaurant CEO stated that it will have to remain closed until the robot is recovered. We are still considering ordering a replacement from the manufacturer, but since this is the second theft we've experienced, we fear they'll come back for a third. Perhaps the best course of action is to remain closed for a while longer, he declared. Newspaper 2. Missing cousins found in old antique shop belonging to their grandmother, January 15th, 2012. 2 of the victims were found with injuries, while the youngest was found dead. Yesterday morning, Sunday, January 14th, the body of a young man identified as Camilo Torres was finally found. He had disappeared early Thursday morning from the shop known as Omegna Antiques, owned by his grandmother. His 2 other grandchildren were also found with him. Valentina Torres, Camilo's sister, who is currently in a coma at the Central Hospital, and Cristobal Valdebenito, a first corporal of the Carabineros, Chilean police force, who had several minor injuries. As soon as they were found, the survivors were taken to the hospital. Valdebenito has not yet agreed to comment on what happened there, stating that he first needs to speak with his superiors about the matter. Regarding Valentina Torres' condition, the attending physician, Joaquin Soto, stated that the reasons for her unconsciousness are still unknown. The tests indicate that there is brain activity. Very low, but it is there. However, the young woman has no head injuries that could explain her unconsciousness. It's a very strange case, but we are continuing to examine her, the doctor stated. Regarding Camilo Torres, According to the investigative police, PDI, the cause of death was asphyxiation by strangulation. The minor's neck showed very noticeable marks. Both his neck and part of his spine, as well as his trachea, are, in the words of prosecutor Leonardo Altamirano, destroyed. Asphyxiation of that level is very difficult to achieve. An ordinary human could not do it, he stated. In fact, it almost looks like as if his neck had been crushed by heavy metal machinery, but this doesn't quite fit considering the finger-like marks left on his neck. The PDI also stated that the investigation is not over yet, and that, although with the current leads it is difficult to reach a conclusion, they will do everything possible to get to the bottom of this and bring justice to the guilty parties. Newspaper 3. Security footage from Omegna Antiques shows the owner attacking her granddaughter, January 16th, 2012. During the investigation into the murder of the 20-year-old at the Omegna Antiques shop, police found a recording of one of the owner's computers. The recording shows the owner ordering a group of animatronic robots to kill Valentina Torres, her own granddaughter. The video from the shop's security camera network shows a young woman and her grandmother, Mrs. Omegna, the latter apparently accompanied by animatronic robots from various well-known entertainment chains, which she kept in her shop. In the recordings, she can be heard ordering the robots to get rid of her, at which point the machines step forward and begin attacking the young woman. We don't know how she could have made them work or how she could have made them obey her, stated Leonardo Altamirano, the prosecutor in charge of the case. We believe the video may be some kind of fabrication, but all of the evidence seems to indicate that this is not the case. According to the several owners of the entertainment chains who once owned those robots, those models had been discontinued for almost 2 decades and had mostly been sold at auctions long ago, which is how they are assumed to have eventually ended up in Omegna's store. For this part, Corporal Cristobal Valdebenito, one of the victims of the cousin of Valentina and her deceased brother, Camilo, stated that he had noticed his grandmother acting strangely in recent weeks, and he also identified her as the kidnapper during the days he was missing. It was a dark, cold, and old room. I could see her there. She didn't say anything significant. She was the one who had me trapped. This morning, the woman was arrested by the Carabineros, Chilean police, and will remain in custody while her connection to the incident is investigated. Holy fuck, that was a lot. But let's move on to the minigame. In this minigame, Omegna checks on her dad in the living room only to see that he's passed out drunk as fuck on the couch. She leaves to go reminisce in the kitchen. She checks the fridge only to see there's no food inside, and she wonders when Sandy will come home from her job. The image files consists of some bottles, a picture of Barney, and whatever the fuck this shit is right here. I literally have no idea what else this could be. My only guess is that the potion grants life, maybe, judging from the conversation we had with Barney, and then the Barney picture is just Barney being destroyed in the closet or getting a new life. I have no idea. And then the question mark image, bro, I'm scratching my head and my balls. You guys tell me what the fuck this is supposed to mean, bro. I've got no idea. The memory for the images has Omegna's dad drunk and yelling at her. He beats the shit out of her while she begs him to stop. He yells at her and tries to drink more, only to notice the bottle's empty. He shatters the bottle on the wall and tells Omegna that he's going to go get more. He tells them that when he gets back, he doesn't want to see either of them and that they need to go to bed now. Sandy shows up to comfort Omegna. Omegna confronts her, saying that they will not be hurt by him again. And then they run away from home together. This is probably one of the more disturbing cutscenes from this game, for obvious reasons. As far as the videos go, they're all just Pandy, Batenclop, and Cocoa Bite jittering in their new bodies. But this memory is a hell of a lot longer. Omegna and Sandy are arguing about Sandy stealing money. Sandy is thinking like a survivalist, but Omegna is thinking like a pacifist, explaining that she could just work. Sandy states that no one saw her and that she was poorer than a rat. Omegna shoots back that she shouldn't talk about herself like that and that she should be grateful that she took them in. Sandy states that the money was not entirely for herself, saying that she will buy things to help her. Omegna states that she wouldn't even accept the money, yet she should give back what she has left. Sandy states that she will not and will put the money to good use. Omegna snaps, stating that this is the last straw. She mentions that Sandy comes home late, skips school, and doesn't follow instructions. Sandy turns away, but Omegna puts her hands on her to make Sandy look at her again. Sandy states to get her hands off of her, but Omegna demands Sandy to follow her orders. Sandy snaps back, stating that Omegna isn't her mom. Omegna slaps Sandy, she apologizes, but Sandy runs away, stating that she hates Omegna and to stop bothering her. They have never seen each other again since that day. So there you go! I told you I'd cover it in more detail. Are you proud of me? Please say yes, because I've been writing the script for no joke the last 6 hours. I'm fucking dying over here. 2 more things before we wrap up. The first is this weird minigame called Pandy POV. It's just some point and click bullshit and seriously provides no lore to the story whatsoever, just a time waster. And the final thing is what happens after you beat 720 mode, which I obviously didn't fucking do because I'm not a maniac. After you complete it, you get this short cutscene. Yes, it's in Spanish. I don't give a fuck. Hop off my dick and read the subtitles.
Sigues teniendo pesadillas, ¿eh? Tranquilo. Pasaste por mucho estrés durante esas noches. Es normal, y lo sabes. Poco a poco estas se irán. Todo está bien ahora.
So there we go, a teaser for yet another game to come. And it looks like there's gonna be a character with a cane. So maybe it'll be me, who fucking knows. But as far as I'm aware, that's all the last Psy has to offer. Overall, I think this game has one of the most interesting and unique stories I've ever seen come out of a FNAF game before. Sure, I do think the first game is complete ass, but the second game really makes up for it. It looks fucking amazing, the gameplay is actually interesting, albeit incredibly difficult at times, and I would highly recommend it to anybody who wants a fun challenge. Banshee was easily one of, if not the scariest Five Nights at Freddy's game I had ever played. Amazing atmosphere, wonderful sound design, and even pretty damn good game mechanics to go along with it. I've of course covered it on this channel before, and if you haven't already, you should go give that video a watch after this one. The game we'll be covering today reminds me of Banshee in a lot of ways, easily being another one of the most horrifying FNAF experiences I've ever had. However, with all of the good does come some bad. And while I feel there's nothing super bad about the game we're covering today, I do feel like there are a few things that we need to talk about with some very good tips for future game devs. The game we'll be covering today is Midnight at Star Stage, one of the newest FNAF fan games on the market with a lot of hype behind it. Today, we'll be diving into the game, talking about its story, gameplay mechanics, pros, and cons. So strap in with me as we peek behind the curtains of Midnight at Star Stage. Jumping right into night one, wasting no time, there's something super obvious I want to get out of the way immediately. This game looks and feels exactly like the FNAF fan game Banshee, like I've already mentioned, and I can't lie, I love it. Absolutely, it's amazing. Banshee's atmosphere was one of the best out of any FNAF fan game I've ever played, and I feel like this game really lives up to that exact feeling. This game is horrifying. To our left and right, we have doors. However, both doors are completely different. The door on our left can only be used for as long as we're holding the switch. However, the door on the right is toggleable, which I actually don't think I've ever seen another FNAF game do. Sure, the original FNAF technically has toggleable doors, but they can't be toggled forever due to the fact that you have power. But there's no power in this game, so I just thought that this was interesting. Of course, we have our cameras, however, there is no camera map. Instead, we have to cycle through the cameras using W and S, which I thought was a little bit weird for controls, but that's not super important at all. This night introduces two threats, so let's talk about them and how terrifying they are. Let's start with the main character, Rocky, one of the most aggressive characters in the entire game. His goal is to get to your office, no shit, but his way of doing so is incredibly intense. Just like Foxy, he will sprint Mach 104 directly at your office, and the scariest part, he can attack either side. The way you'll be able to tell which side he's going to attack is based on which cameras he goes through. If he goes to camera 3, that likely means he will attack your left door. If he goes to camera 6, that likely means he will attack your right. Oh fuck! Now, when it gets to your door, all you have to do is close it. However, like I said, he is incredibly fast. And when he runs to your door, well, yes, he does make a noticeable sound cue. Just take a look at this clip and see how fast he really is. I don't know, dude, there's no fucking sound cue. What? Yeah, he is very fast. And this game is about to be both really fucking hard and really fucking scary at the same time. Strap in, guys, it's about to get crazy. Anyways, moving on to the next threat we have to talk about, that being Rash the cat. Rash the cat really goes to show how difficult this game is going to be, and that mainly comes in the form of how much synergy he has with Rocky. Just like Rocky, Rash too can attack both of your doors. However, he is completely silent. Very reminiscent of Springtrap from Banshee, he will creep up silently to either of your doors and stare at you. All you have to do to make him go away is stare back. Oh my fuck! It's a costume! Why is it moving? We're about to be in for an absolutely wild ride, guys. These characters are terrifying, some of the scariest I've ever seen, right up there alongside Banshee. I think it's pretty clear this game drew a lot of inspiration from Banshee, and I think that's great. They nailed the atmosphere, they nailed the character designs, and they even nailed the pressure that Banshee brought, and we're only in night 1. The synergy Rash has with Rocky is mainly with your right door. Since it's toggleable, the thing you'd want to do is keep it closed, since the reaction time you need for Rocky is scary fast. However, since Rash is so quiet and makes no sound cues, it leads to you needing to keep that door open so you can constantly check for him. It's a small detail, but definitely one worth talking about. This game doesn't have a task-based completion system like Banshee, instead having the usual time-based one, which I want to be clear I don't think is an issue. Sure, I love it when games try something new, but there's nothing wrong with sticking to the usual. I'm super excited to see what the rest of this game has to offer, so without further ado, let's move on to night 2. Psych! I lied. First, we have to talk about night 1's post-night minigame, and why I don't give a fuck about it. In it, we have to collect a bunch of bullshit scattered around the building. Boring! I'd rather jump into a glitching wall and get teleported next to a ninja by a campfire. Thank you very much. After teleporting, we touch the fire and the minigame abruptly ends. Now we can move on to night 2. Night 2 really goes to show how this game is eventually going to have to be played out, as it adds one of the most annoying threats in this entire game. That being Bowie. Bowie acts as this game's eye slut. That's right. I'm coining a new FNAF term, and I expect it to be used very frequently by everyone in the fandom from now on. Eye slut refers to a character archetype that revolves around said character needing to be stared at, and that's the only fucking mechanic. And this game's eye slut is Bowie. Bowie will randomly move around cameras 3, 6, and 9. Some would even say, damn, she fine. If you ever don't glance at Bowie for long enough, he'll appear at your door where no matter what you do, even if you close it, he'll still close the gap between his willy and your butt and start clapping your shit like a crowd after a good performance wanting an encore. The real issue with Bowie isn't even Bowie himself. It's more so due to the fact that it makes Rocky so much scarier. Whereas before, all you really needed to do was watch him so you could tell which side he was going to attack, while Bowie is active, you should be staring at him the entire time. So this leads to you needing to be able to react to Rocky every single time. So if your reflexes are shit, you will be shit at this night and the entire game as a whole. But overall, this night isn't too bad. Now we can move on to the post-night 2 minigame, which is much the same as the first. This time around, we actually play as a different night guard, which is interesting. And this time we're tasked with taking some animatronics to the stage. Boring! I'd rather jump into a glitching wall and get teleported next to a ninja by a campfire. Thank you very much. After teleporting, we touch the fire and the minigame abruptly ends. And now we can move on to night 3. Actually, I lied a bit. I just thought it'd be kind of funny to repeat the ending of the last section since you do the same thing. What I want to talk about is that for some reason during this minigame, the monkey we first see is in the 2D style like everything else. But if you do some exploring, you'll find the other characters, except they'll be in the normal 3D rendered states, which is honestly just super uncanny and creepy. It's cool, it's random, it's unimportant, but I wanted to mention it. Are you guys ready for night 3? I really don't think you are. Like, really ask yourself the question, am I ready to learn about the third night of this game? Dexter's asking me to think about it, so that clearly means I'm about to learn about the most soul-degrading thing of all time. Did you ask yourself the question? Great, let's move on to night 3. Night 3 introduces a certain type of mechanic, a very common mechanic in FNAF games. Almost every single FNAF game has at least one of these, actually. And fun fact, this very mechanic was what spawned the most recent Dexter White song, Nintendo No. Go listen to it. It's on all streaming services, by the way. Is that enough of a hint as to what type of mechanic is slid into my butthole on this night? Well, if it's not, let me help you a bit. This night introduces a fucking monkey. I don't even want to do it the due diligence of saying its stupid fucking name. It's a piece of shit. In fact, it's the same monkey we put on stage in the last minigame. Monkey Dick has his own stage, and thankfully, he's nothing like Bowie, who requires me to stare at him all night. However, he does something arguably worse. Occasionally, at random, throughout the night, he will slam his cymbals together. And now, I want you to take a solid guess as to what it is we have to do after hearing these cymbals. Really think about it. What could this so far amazing game do to just really shoot itself in the foot like a soldier trying to get an honorable discharge? I think I've given you enough time to think about it. After Monkey Fuck smashes his cymbals together, he will teleport to a random fucking camera. God damn it, fuck me right in my rear. This night also introduces the ability to flash your cameras. So all you have to do is find the rape ass monkey and flash him to make him go back to his stage. I quite literally have no idea what makes these games unable to come up with something unique. Don't get me wrong, I think this game is fucking amazing, and this find them on the camera mechanic is nowhere near as terribly integrated as some of the other FNAF games I've played, but please, guys, stop doing this. My poor little heart just can't take it anymore. But aside from that, that's all this night adds. Now we can move on to the post-night minigame. In it, we're driving a car right after a beer. We can choose to hit some deer on the road, but the game would really prefer we didn't. Fuck the actual point of the minigame. We all know that there will be a glitch somewhere. And sure enough, at a certain distance, you will see a glitch. Bam down and you'll be teleported to the fire with the ninja. Touch the fire and the minigame comes to a close. I have no idea what this fire could be symbolizing. And yes, by the way, I know that this is most likely not a ninja, but I'm noticing while writing this that in my playthrough, which you can see over on my second channel, Dexter Black, I actually never found the glitch in the first minigame. So now I'm dreading having to replay the whole game later. But that's future me's problem. And I don't give two fucks about future me. For now, let's move on to night 4. Damn. We're already on to night 4, huh? Shit, we're just busting through this game all willy-nilly style. Well, there's a new threat introduced on this night, and it's honestly, like, not even a problem at all. Something I'm noticing about this game is that while, yes, it's very scary, and that's awesome, the game is also, like, piss easy, which, don't get me wrong, I don't want it to be the hardest thing on earth, but it's like, you know, a little bit too easy. Anyways, moving on to the threat this night introduces, Floppy. Yes, I'm serious. Get it out of your system. I know it's a completely ridiculous name, but that's his name, and we love him just the way he is. And the way he is basically just a fucking statue. Floppy sits directly outside of your right door, and his mechanic is cool at a glance. Floppy is a weeping angel and will only move when your door is closed and you can't see him. So he directly synergizes with both Rocky and Rash. However, if you've seen my playthrough over on my second channel, Dexter Black, then you'd know that the need to have this door closed at all times isn't really present, as you need the door open at all times to see if Rash is there. So keeping it closed at all times is actually just a pretty bad idea. And it's not even like Floppy moves at an insanely fast rate, because he really doesn't. So for most of the game, it'll be like he's just a fucking decoration. It looks scary, and that's cool, but generally speaking, he doesn't really add anything to the gameplay loop, which I do think is very disappointing. I've thought for a bit on how you can make him more interesting without changing his mechanic at all, and I think I have two decent ideas. The first being the one I would personally go with. Really make him a weeping angel and force you to look at him, not just have the door open. This would make him much more threatening, albeit the most annoying thing on earth. The only other way you could make Floppy more threatening is somehow designing a way to make closing his door more needed. Because quite literally, the only time you ever need to close the door is the 2 seconds it takes to make Rocky go away. And that's even if he attacks that side in the first place, which of course isn't always guaranteed. But realistically, the best way to solve this problem is to not even have the problem in the first place and just make Floppy do something else. There's plenty of mechanic ideas that devs could take from the other brilliant fan games that exist. Here's a quick tip for FNAF devs. If a character you add doesn't feel like a new threat you have to actively think about, either don't add that character or find a new mechanic for them. Anyways, after completing the night, we of course get a post-night minigame. In it, we play as a sad fat kid. I actually can't confirm if this kid is sad, but I know that if I was fat, I would probably be sad, so I'm just assuming this kid is the same way. In this minigame, all we have to do is walk from one side of town to the other while avoiding cars on the road that are, for some reason, not stopping for the literal roadblock of a child directly in front of them. At 2 points during this minigame, you can see what appear to be a pair of eyes watching us. But I have no idea what this is actually supposed to mean, and I also don't know what the story of this game could be literally at all. Now, for the glitch, which this time around is completely unobvious. If you get all the way to the end of the map, what you're supposed to do is just touch the edge and you'll be booted to the menu. This is what I did on my playthrough, which you can see over on my second channel, Dexter Black. There's blood leaking out of me, knowing that I'll have to go back and fix this, but whatever. If instead of touching the edge, you instead go all the fucking way back, really getting Tubby his exercise, and touch the edge next to where you started, which by the way shows no indication of being glitched, so this is just bullshit, then you will be teleported to the fire with the ninja, touch the fire, and we can move on to night 5. Night 5 introduces one new threat, and I'm honestly surprised that it does. Very uncommonly do I find FNAF games that consistently add a new threat with every night, and I honestly really appreciate this game for doing so. Albeit, both this threat and last night's threat are pretty lackluster. But before we talk about the threat this night introduces, we need to talk about this night's phone call. Because even though it's by far the shortest one, it easily is the most interesting we've heard so far. The phone guy just tells us that tonight will be our last shift, because the floppy suit almost killed the employee who was inside of it. So that's just based in Riz, I can't even lie. Anyways, on to talking about the threat that this night introduces. That being the fucking mouse that the game didn't tell me the name of, so that's just awesome. Mickey Mouse fuck-ass boy adds a mechanic that honestly might as well not even exist. I struggle to figure out whether I think the mouse's mechanic or Floppy's mechanic is more worthless to the gameplay loop. Dicky Mouse will randomly appear on whichever camera you're looking at. When he does, you won't be able to switch between cameras. To make him go away, all you have to do is flash the camera. So just press space and he goes away. That's literally it. He can only appear on the camera you're looking at, so it's not like you're ever going to miss him either. And he's also very forgiving with the amount of time you have to flash him. So really, if you die to this guy, you're just retarded or dead at your keyboard. I really wish I had more to talk about with these mechanics. Sure, I could sit here and complain and bitch and whine and say the mechanics make me want to do something to my penis that will damage it beyond recognition. But I mean, really, just look at the gameplay between night 3 and 5. Tell me if you see much of a difference. Spoiler alert, you won't. In fact, let's actually play a game real quick. Right here, I'm showing you 2 clips from my playthrough, which you can see over on my second channel, Dexter Black. One of them is footage from night 3, and the other is footage of night 5. I want you to take a guess at which video is which. I'll give you a bit. Did you make your guess? Well, fuck you, because both of these clips are night 5. That's how similar they are. So while yes, it's cool that this game is adding more animatronics, I just really wish they'd do something that mattered to the gameplay loop, but they just don't. Anyways, after completing night 5, we don't get a minigame in the same way we usually do. Instead, we get a cutscene. A child is talking to his father. At some point, the child leaves and the father spots one of the mascots and goes to talk to it. Upon interacting with the fucking mouse, we get jump scared and he asks the dad if he needs anything, and the dad says no. So like, why the fuck did you even go up and talk to him in the first place? Either way, with that, night 5 comes to an end. Night 6 is not what I expected at all. Discover it for yourself. Now you see, I don't like that you're saying it like that. What do you mean discover it for myself? Easily being the most interesting night throughout the game, albeit still incredibly easy. Night 6 is a boss fight night with this fucking thing. What the fuck is that? Whoa! What the fuck? The fuck was that? Tell me that wasn't the coolest and most terrifying thing you've ever seen in your life. So yeah, this is the final boss of the game. Do I have a reason as to why it looks like this or what lore significance it has? Literally fucking no. Not at all. But who cares, because he looks fucking sick. The way he works is incredibly easy. He can attack both doors. He works pretty much entirely off sound cues. He will be moaning throughout the entire night, which I will add is very gross, but I guess that's just what he's into, so I'm not gonna kink shame the poor guy. Whenever he moans, that tells you that he's moved. If you ever see him at your left door, all you have to do is hold the door closed. He will begin banging on it, so just make sure you hold it closed until he stops. If it wasn't obvious, all of the other characters aren't activated on this night, so you don't really have to worry. Now, when he attacks your right door, you'll have to do something just a little bit different. You still have to close the door, but for some reason, he really doesn't like it when your computer is on while he's on the right side. Very weird, but we'll listen. So when you see him on the right side, all we have to do is close the door and then turn our computer off and he'll go away. Now, we have to talk about how you actually beat this night, since it's not just as easy as holding off until 6 a.m. like the rest of the nights have been. This is a boss fight night, and this time you're actually fighting a boss. When he moans, it's much more likely for him to just switch cameras than it is for him to appear at your door. He is a find them on the camera character. However, he's the only character in the night, so it's not a big deal. You will have to constantly track him on the cameras and spam your camera flash on him to deal damage. Flashing makes your system crash, so get ready to deal with rebooting your cameras constantly. Deal enough damage on the cameras and this final night will come to a close. However, depending on if you were able to collect all of the fires next to the ninjas in the minigame will determine which ending you get after completing this night. After winning, the creature will force his way into your office like Graveyard Shift at Freddy's and kill you, wherein you get the bad ending. But who cares about the bad ending? The interesting ending comes in the form of collecting all of the fires from the minigames. Now, I'm not kidding about this. I promise. After you beat the night, the creature still kills you. However, the fire slowly rises from the bottom of the screen, and you're spit into a fucking Undertale boss fight with the creature. What the fuck am I playing right now? I'm dead serious. This is not edited. This actually happens in the game. You have to dodge a plethora of attacks, and every once in a while, you'll get the chance to attack. Attack 4 times and it'll fucking die, rewarding us with the good ending, which, by the way, is no different from the bad ending. There's no extra story revealed or a cutscene. It's just a boss fight and then an end screen. There's only one other thing I wanted to talk about, and that's a weird minigame you can find hidden in the extras menu. In it, you play as this weird white statue thing. The only thing you can do is find a newspaper clipping on the floor talking about some missing children. That's literally it. I have no idea why this is here. I have no idea what missing children had to do with this game. I failed to pick up on pretty much any lore this game has thrown out, if there was any at all. But for all of you little theorists, have fun with that information. But with that, that's all Midnight at Star Stage has to offer. Overall, I think this game was terrifying. However, I feel like this game was heavily inspired by Banshee. And it was. It almost feels like the dev wanted to make Banshee, but didn't actually fully think about the mechanics of how the game would work. Don't get me wrong, this game looks amazing and it plays well, but the synergies with characters really just aren't there. And I have no idea what the fuck the Undertale boss fight was about, but it was pretty cool. 2025 has been a crazy year for Five Nights at Freddy's fan games so far. We've had incredible titles such as Banshee, Five Nights at Frederick's, and Freddy's Reanimated. It's honestly incredible to see how much this community is thriving after 11 years of the original game's release. Somehow, people are still able to take the original concept and add new and unique experiences to it, and are somehow able to retell the same story in a way that's interesting every single time. It really goes to show just how much love this community has for the original source material. Today, we're going to be looking at one of the newest FNAF fan games to release, one that has built up a lot of hype and certainly lived up to it, with mechanics so unique that I've never seen before. So join me today as we dive into the twisted world of Locked at Freddy's. Locked at Freddy's begins with an opening cutscene. We introduce ourselves as Elliot Woods, and we begin to tell the story of the most terrorizing night of our entire lives, starting with us taking a job offer at Freddy Fazbear's as a security job. When we pull up to the building, we notice a purple car parked outside. Thinking nothing of it, we walk inside the building and get knocked out by a man in a bunny suit. Wake up. Oh shit! So this is about to be cool. Oh, what the fuck? What the fuck? We wake up inside of a Springlock suit. By completing a quick time-based minigame, we escape certain death, only to realize the real amount of trouble we're actually in. The man who attacked us, presumably William Afton, begins talking to us through the intercom system. He tells us what we're in, and that if we can survive until 6 a.m., we might get, quote, something special. I'm hoping it's that rabbit deer. Oh, Jesus Christ. And with that, the night begins. Something we need to immediately get out of the way is that this game, technically speaking, only has one night. However, the way a normal FNAF game would call a night, Locked at Freddy's calls an hour. So each hour of the night basically acts as its own night. I made that sound way more complicated than it actually is, but who cares? Let's start by talking about the main mechanic that you're going to be aware of, that being the Springlock suit attached to your bones. Whenever you move in this game, that meaning looking from side to side, a small indicator bar in the bottom left corner will detect your movement. If it fills up all the way to the top, you will die. At first, I thought this was going to be the most devastating mechanic ever introduced into any FNAF game ever. However, during my playthrough, I figured out how it actually works. This bar increases based on how much X-axis movement your mouse has. So if you slowly turn from one side of the office to another, it will increase very quickly. However, if you were to say, whip your mouse to one side of the screen really fast so that the screen has to catch up to your mouse's position, since you didn't move your mouse for very long, the bar will not increase very much at all. So this is definitely the route to go. Two more interesting mechanics that go along with the Springlock suit. First, when you open the camera, the bar will pause wherever it's at. This means if your bar is halfway increased and you open the camera, even though your player isn't moving, the bar will not decrease like it usually does when you're not moving. And only once you pull the camera down will it begin to decrease. The final, pretty poopy mechanic the Springlock suit brings takes place when you interact with the doors. The doors in this game work the same as the doors in FNAF 4. That being, you have to manually hold them closed. There is also a big lever next to the door you can pull to shine a light in the hall. Now, this final amazing and not ass-clenching mechanic has everything to do with interacting with these two very important pieces of the game. If you interact with either the light lever or the door itself whilst your movement bar is yellow, you will be entered into the Springlock minigame from the beginning of the game, and if you fail it, you lose. Now, completing this minigame isn't difficult. What's so annoying about having to do it is knowing that if you're needing to close the door, you probably don't have time to sit and do a minigame. Is this mechanic cool? Yes, I think it is, but that doesn't stop it from making me want to ride a bike with no seat. Now, with that out of the way, we can actually talk about the first threat this game introduces. Bonnie. What? Oh god, oh god. Why is he wearing a hat? Who gave him the fucking hat? Oh my god, look at how fast that power goes down. Of course, he's probably the most basic character of the roster, but that's typically how he is, and that's just how we like him. I'm kind of breathable a little bit. Oh my god, dude, what's wrong with me? Bonnie will quietly make his way to your left door, and let me be clear, him not making noise is a big deal, as sound cues are going to be very important throughout this game. Once Bonnie reaches your door, all you have to do is hold it closed. You will hear him bang on the door and then start breathing really hard like your mom does when she walks up a flight of stairs at a below reasonable pace. Once he starts breathing, you're free to let go of the door. However, if you ever turn the light on while he's at the door breathing, you will get eviscerated. After completing 12 a.m., 1 a.m. will begin, because that's how time works. Insane that I have to explain this to you. During the chat with William, he explains how we're the second person to be in this game. When asked who the first is, William responds that his name was Michael, and that he's currently in the back room stuffed inside of a suit. Some of the most brutal stuff, let me tell you. But before we can ask any more questions, he tells us that someone new is activating and the hour really begins. This hour introduces Chica, who does not act the same as Bonnie in the slightest, which is honestly really nice to see. Chica, of course, attacks your right door, except she actually is much more aggressive. Much more of a dom, which I would usually be chill with, except unfortunately for me, this is the ugly Chica, not bad bitch toy Chica. Once Chica gets to your door, unlike Bonnie, she is actually kind enough to leave us a sound cue. When you hear it, you will need to hold the door closed. She will then start pounding on it like your mom pounds down Twinkies. Whenever you hear the pounding stop, you must quickly open the cameras and use the alarm button I haven't mentioned so far. When you use the alarm button, an alarm will play. Who would have thought? And it will go off for 10 seconds. Use this once Chica stops banging to scare her away from your office. It doesn't matter which camera you use it on either, so that's really fortunate for us, the player. This game will eventually become pretty intense, and that will become more apparent once you notice how different each character really is. During the next phone call, William tells us the story of the children, how he murdered all 5 of them and placed their bodies into the suits so that the police wouldn't find them, explaining that the company shut down because of this and that he got away with it. He mentioned that there was still one single thing that could put a wrench in his plans, but he says he locked her in a box. I want you to keep this line in mind, as it will become very important later. For now, we have to talk about a new threat. This new threat is Foxy, a character I honestly thought was going to be a whole lot worse than he actually was. Foxy does exactly what you think he does. He has multiple stages he will move through in Pirate's Cove before charging at your door. This time around, however, he can attack either side, needing you to rely on sound cues to figure out which side he'll try to hit. Once you know which side he's on, all you have to do is hold the door closed. When you hear him bang on it, quickly turn the light on to scare him away from the door and he'll run back to Pirate's Cove like a little piss baby. Something really good to note about Foxy is that he really doesn't demand your attention at all, and that was a surprise to me. Unlike in FNAF 1, where watching Foxy on the camera stalls him, he will move at the same rate whether you're looking at him or not in this game. So all you really have to do is listen out for his sound cue and you'll be well in the clear. Just hope he doesn't attack when Bonnie is breathing, because if he does, then say goodbye to your anus because you're not getting it back. During the hour 4 phone call, Elliot calls William out for being an idiot, because what does killing 5 kids do for anyone? William turns into a piss baby and pulls some pain levels of, "You don't know the kind of pain I've been through," emo-ah antagonist. William says he lost everything, and that the most important thing in his life got taken away. Knowing the FNAF lore, he's probably referring to his daughter. When Elliot asks how killing children fixes that, William deflects and the hour begins. Freddy is the next threat introduced. Freddy, of course, has to introduce my least favorite mechanic of all time. Occasionally, throughout the night, Freddy will laugh as loud as he possibly can like the asshole at the movie theater. When he does, do you want to take a wild stab at what you have to do? If you said find him on the fucking cameras, you'd be right, god damn it! Once you find Freddy on the cameras, you will have to play the alarm on whichever camera he is at, which will make him leave. But of course, as I'm sure you could have guessed, this does bring up another issue. Now we have 2 characters that make use of the same mechanic, and this mechanic has a very long 10-second cooldown. So let's imagine a sick and twisted scenario where Freddy does a little giggle. Okay, it's time to go look for him. So you do exactly that. Just then, the moment you press the alarm button, Chica starts blowing up your door's asshole like the 4th of July. Well, shit. Let's hope Chica takes a long time to start pounding on my glass, because otherwise she's gonna start pounding on my ass. Luckily for us, however, it does appear this was thought about while the game was being designed, because after Chica finishes pounding on your door, she usually won't start pounding on your window for a couple seconds. And in all honesty, there's nothing more satisfying in this game than using the alarm to take care of Freddy and Chica at the same time. Two birds, one stone type shit. The 4 a.m. phone call has William turn into the Joker, talking about a brand new toy he's created in the workshop. Says he made it specifically for occasions like this. What could he be talking about, I hear you ask? Great question, dear, honest, innocent, and defenseless viewer. Allow me to answer that burning question for you. Going into the workshop where you can find the corpse of Michael, Chip will jump onto the camera. Literally, this motherfucker got hops. Kinda like your mom in the drive-thru at Taco Bell. Seriously, you tell her, vamos a Taco Bell y pidamos todo, and she starts hopping. You wanna take a solid guess as to what this guy introduces? If you said my second least favorite mechanic, ding ding ding, you'd be exactly right. Chip introduces a music box mechanic. If you're not winding it throughout the night, he'll insert his entire forearm inside of you. But Chip is an animal, and I know a lot of you guys are furries, so you might actually enjoy that. Freaks. You're all freaks. Freaks! During the hour 5 chat, we call William a bitch. We tell him he's hiding from us. And when we say that, he gets an idea that we're not going to be a huge fan of. Nothing new is added during this hour, except I just lied straight to your face. Within the first minute of the hour, you can hear a car pulling up outside of the building, and William himself enters. The fuck was that horn? What's this car I'm hearing? Is he here? He's already here. The yellow rabbit can come from any side. Close the door and wait for it to leave. Every knock the door affects the spring locks. If you hear the sound of the wind-up toy, prepare for an attack. What? That's right. The final threat introduced is William himself in the spring lock costume, who, spoiler alert, is the guy that knocked us out at the beginning of the game. I know, crazy, hard to believe, right? So let's ask ourselves, is his mechanic going to be fun? Well, it's actually pretty unmemorable, honestly. William will make his way to either one of your doors at random. When he arrives, he will make a sound cue to let you know he's there. How kind! Once he's at your door, all you have to do is hold it closed and he'll give it that Chica treatment, pounding on it by slapping it with his big fat stupid balls. However, something a little bit different from Chica is that his big fat stupid balls are so powerful that they will actually cause your spring lock meter to increase every time he bangs on the door. And while sure, that may sound cool, but due to the fact that you won't be moving your mouse during this because it's sitting on the door holding it closed, it really only serves to look cool and make William feel intimidating way more than it serves to actually be a mechanic. But that's about it. Beat this night and you're home free. Oh wait. Shit. William, what are you doing here? Hey, buddy, stay back. You stink like shit. Hey, don't you take one more step. Hey, don't you do it.
Now, you'll be trapped here forever. Bye, Elliot. Rest here in the darkness.
What the fuck? So yeah, we got killed by William even though we won, and were stuffed into the Chip suit, which is clearly what he meant when he said he made Chip specifically for situations like this. Soon after, we're given the message, you can fix everything, find castle, with a crayon drawing of a castle shown. This is honestly really appreciated. I personally have no problem with the true ending of a game being a little out of the way, as long as it doesn't require me to repeat a massive section of the game, if not the entire game all over again. Secret of the fucking Mimic! So this game actually giving us a massive hint on how to find it is actually really refreshing. Going back to 5 AM, if you go to camera 5 and click on the castle drawing, you will be thrown into a night minigame. And now I get to talk about it because this minigame was actually pretty fun. Upon loading into the minigame, you will learn the two most important mechanics, attacking and not attacking. Whenever you attack, you will swing a little lance, and whenever you don't attack and are moving, your curse meter will go up. If your curse meter increases too high, it will turn yellow and you won't be able to attack. Does this remind you of something? Because it should, as it's literally a metaphor as to what we're going through. We are in a suit, but instead of it being armor, it's a spring lock. Whenever we move, our danger increases and prevents us from using our only means of defense. And spoiler alert, the rest of this minigame is a metaphor as well. Very early on, we walk past a big purple locked door. Obviously, we'll have to come back to this eventually, so keep it in mind. Continuing to travel, we enter a room with our first boss battle. Being unable to fight this one, it's completely about not being seen. Hide behind pillars as he passes so that we aren't noticed. At the end of the hall, we see a child locked inside of a cage, and it's our job to free them. We see it's locked via a code, and we have to count the numbers of each colored balloon to get it. Don't question it, it's a FNAF game, it's weird, it's dumb, whatever, just move on. Afterwards, getting the key to the cage and freeing the child. This obviously being a metaphor for saving one of the missing children. The next boss we face is a bit more difficult, Brute. He has a shield and we can only strike when it's down. This weird, sad-looking bunny cloud above our head will occasionally take a piss and we have to dodge the stream. Meanwhile, hentai tentacles will occasionally come up from the ground. Dodging these is actually kind of difficult as the way they move is completely random, so this fight was a bit frustrating. After beating Brute, we get another key and save another kid. We continue to explore, finding a massive furnace. You should know by now, if you're familiar with my channel, that pretty much nothing is an accident, so you know this will almost certainly be important later. The next boss we face is the Mechanism. He slides across the ceiling and will shoot homing missiles at you, all the while whipping a laser around that you have to dodge as well. Honestly, this fight looks a lot more intimidating than it actually is. After beating him, bingo was his name-o, another key drops. The final boss we go up against is the Executioner. This guy has got a massive axe, or a hammer, I can't really tell. When he slams it on the ground, it leaves a shockwave behind that you have to dodge. The Piss Goblin is back up in the sky, and the hentai tentacles make a return as well. Honestly, this is probably the easiest of the boss fights. It just takes the longest because this guy has a lot of health. After beating him, he drops the final key and we can leave. However, I would highly recommend you don't leave, because if you want to get the true ending, we have something else to do. If you take all of the keys we've collected so far and take them back to the furnace, you can melt them together into a single purple key. Then, using this key, you can go all the way back to the start where the purple door was, and now you can unlock it, because that's how a door and a key work. Heading inside, we find a box, the same box William mentioned putting her inside of. The box opens, and the marionette reveals herself. She thanks us for setting her free and says that it's now her job to set us free. We need to survive until 6 a.m. Now, if we complete night 6 one more time, near the end of the night, the marionette will appear in our office and we get one last cutscene. The marionette takes off our suit and we go to take revenge on William once and for all. Hello! Don't be afraid of me. I will save you. Whoa, whoa, bitch! I took off your suit. You are free. We will take revenge on him. Oh. A secret room. What the heck, bro? Oh shit! Oh. A word? Oh, word. Oh shit, where'd he just go to? All alone in the darkness. Oh, hello. Oh yeah, I'd be fucking shitting myself, bro. We are already here. We are waiting for you. Oh shit. Whoa, what the hell? Oh damn. Oh damn. Dude, yuck. Oh shit, what the fuck? It's time to end this. Attack bucket of FNAF assemble type shit. Oh, it's spring locks. Oh my god. Oh shit. Oh shit, it's spring locks. They're locking up, bro. Oh. Oh shit. There he goes. Holy fuck. Oh damn. What the fuck? Hell yeah, shut his ass down, bro. Now you will be locked here. Forever. What the fuck? And there we have it. An ending where we survive and all the kids can finally rest. Locked at Freddy's tells its story in a way that feels like a personal confession. A night one man survived and isn't entirely sure how. The whole thing is framed around Elliot Woods, a guy who moved to Hurricane and took the first job he could find because he needed money. And unfortunately for him, that job happened to be at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, which is already a red flag in this universe. But the important detail here, something a lot of players miss, is that Elliot never actually becomes a night guard. He never makes it to the office. He never even starts his job. He's attacked the moment he walks inside. A man in a rabbit suit, clearly William Afton, kidnaps him, drags him off screen, and forces him into a springlock suit. Not a costume, not a mascot, a torture device. You're waking up inside a machine built to kill you if you breathe wrong. And that's where the story really begins. Not as an employee, but as a victim William chose for reasons we don't fully know. And for the entire game, William is basically treating the situation like a twisted interview. He's watching Elliot, studying him, testing how long a person can last when trapped inside a springlock coffin. The animatronics aren't really the point. They're just environmental hazards William unleashes to make the test harder. He talks to you through an intercom all night, and this is where we get the real story. William admits everything. He killed 5 children, he hid the bodies in the suits, he shut down the location, and he never got caught. But the part that actually matters, the part Locked at Freddy's is built around, is the one thing that did scare him: the marionette. He says there was one single thing that could ruin all of his plans, something strong enough to fight back, and he said he'd locked her in a box. That's the core conflict of this game. The night isn't just William tormenting Elliot, it's William making sure the marionette stays powerless. Every time he talks, you can hear how confident he is. He's got Elliot trapped. He's killed before, and he thinks this is all going according to plan. But something changes as the night progresses. When Elliot pushes back, asks why murdering children fixes anything, William actually loses composure. He starts ranting about loss and how he had something important taken from him. There's a reason people compare this game's version of William to Saw's Jigsaw. This isn't William in the middle of the FNAF timeline. This is William trying to prove something, trying to justify his pain by putting someone else through it. And that's why he comes to the restaurant at 5 a.m. He's not coming to kill Elliot because he's winning. He's coming because he wants the ending to be personal. He kills him, stuffs him into the chip suit, and considers the night finished. Another victim contained, another spirit silenced, another threat buried before it can become a problem. But the moment Elliot dies, the entire story flips, because that's when the children finally make contact. The message, "Find Castle," isn't just a clue. It's the kids reaching out. It's the souls William tried to control doing the one thing he never prepared for, fighting back from inside his own game. And the Cursed Night minigame is their language, their world. It's not literal, it's symbolic. It's Elliot navigating a space built out of memories and trauma the kids experienced and helping them break down the barriers William left behind. Every boss you defeat represents another spirit being freed. Every key you collect is a child William tried to silence, locking them away. The furnace is where you merge them, giving them the strength they need to unlock the one door William never wanted opened: the box. And inside that box is one entity who can actually challenge him: the marionette. Freed not by the police, not by Henry, not by the spirits, but by Elliot, the victim William assumed wouldn't survive 6 hours. She thanks him, she understands what William did to him, and she chooses to help. That ending scene, the puppet removing the suit and freeing Elliot from the spring locks, is the first time in the entire game that Elliot has any control over what's happening to him. He's no longer one more body in a suit, he's a survivor. And with the spirits awakened, the puppet free, and William still in the building, the true ending leaves us with the moment William has always feared. For once, he's not the hunter. Elliot is. Locked at Freddy's ends right where William's downfall begins, with the victim standing up, the souls awake and united, and the puppet finally out of the box. But as far as I'm aware, that's all Locked at Freddy's has to offer. Overall, I think this game serves as a very interesting retelling of the original story. The gameplay is very fun, and somehow managed to make me not hate my two most hated mechanics in FNAF history. Everything in this game feels responsive yet restrictive in just the right way, and all of the characters work together perfectly in tandem with one another, something a lot of fan games just aren't capable of. But let me know what you think. Do you agree with me, or do you think this game is actually just really underwhelming? Scopophobia is the irrational fear of being persistently stared at or watched. For most people, I feel being watched is one of those things that is just universally feared. Several forms of media have been made around it, from books to movies, and of course, horror games. But what about FNAF games? What is the scariest FNAF game you've ever played? And while playing it, did you get the strange feeling that you were being stalked? Banshee is a new FNAF fan game created by Kimarzuru and released fully on July 23rd, 2025. For a lot of people, the FNAF genre hasn't grown boring, but has lost a lot of the fear factor that it once had. I know for me personally that is the case. Sure, cheap jump scares will always startle people, but actually being scared is something that most FNAF games just aren't capable of doing anymore. Banshee, however, is different. Banshee isn't just scary, Banshee is horrifying. Grab a drink and get ready to jump into the rabbit hole that is Banshee, Five Nights at Freddy's most horrifying fan game. Banshee is a game heavily inspired by the original Five Nights at Freddy's Pizzeria Simulator, mainly taking inspiration from the night sections of that game, wherein instead of beating the night by surviving, you instead have to complete multiple tasks, making the length of the night dependent on you. Of course, when you think of Pizzeria Simulator, the very well-known salvaging sections may come to mind, and don't worry, Banshee has those too. Before every night, you will have to salvage a character in much the same way you do so in Pizzeria Simulator. On night 1, you have to salvage Springtrap. Pause. This design is actually horrific. This is gross. I haven't seen a model from a game that made me as uncomfortable as this one has in a long time. And trust me, they only get more grotesque and uncomfortable as we follow the White Rabbit. To salvage a character, you must first play an audio cue from the tape player in front of you. You can hold up the Miliguas, I don't know, to measure the animatronic's aggravation. As you play the audio, the meter will slowly rise, and having it stay on the highest setting for too long will result in a death. Additionally, your tape player may start to malfunction while the sound is playing. If you hear this, you must stop playing the tape for a few moments before turning it back on. The animatronics do not like when the tape player is broken. Once you have the animatronics aggression maxed, input some info into the computer, and it's on to the real night section. And let me tell you, if you thought the night gameplay from FNAF 6 was stressful, you're not ready for what's in store for you in Banshee. Night 1 introduces 2 characters. You may be wondering how that's possible since we've only scrapped one. And that's because one of the 2 characters was in your restaurant from the beginning, that threat being Yellow Bear. Ooh. Wait, am I not safe? Why do I get the feeling that I'm not safe? What the fuck was that? But before we can talk about the threats this night has to offer, we first need to talk about the tasks at hand and our environment. In our office, we obviously have a computer, as well as the doors to our left and right, and a window in front of us. Pressing Control will open up our computer, and this is where the first stressful mechanic comes into play. Unlike most FNAF games where you have your mouse as the main source of user input with the occasional control key, Banshee makes use of your entire keyboard. No, I'm not joking. Your computer has two screens, your command screen and your camera screen. You may notice you're unable to press any buttons on the camera screen that would allow you to see around the building. So, how do you see additional cameras? This is where your command screen comes into play. By typing the command CC and pressing enter, you will get access to your camera controls, which is obviously what the CC stands for, dumbass. You can then use your arrow keys to transfer up and down between cameras. No, you cannot use your arrow keys if your camera controls are not up, which means if you're working on something else like a task and need to check a different camera, you will need to type in the camera control command and then start sifting through the cameras. This is obviously stressful as fuck for a number of reasons. On later nights when things begin becoming more hectic, if you're not a fast typer or you can't remember where the keys on your keyboard are without looking, then this will pose a very obvious problem. I mentioned your tasks. What are those exactly? Well, you have 4 tasks you have to complete. Kind of. You don't actually have to complete any tasks to beat Banshee, as there still is a 12 to 6 a.m. timer. So, what's the purpose of the tasks? And to be truthful, the answer is that I don't really know. At the end of each night, it tallies how many tasks you've completed, and that seems to have something to do with how much money you get. So I'm assuming that the only downside is not having money for your tycoon, which is needed for the true ending. But there may be another reason I'm unsure of, and the wiki is no help. Anyways, back to the tasks. Task number 1 requires you to look at 2 items that are going to be shipped. You will have to check if both sides are identical. If they are, type Y and press enter. And if they don't match, press N and then enter. Do this 8 times and the task is complete. But if you ever mess up, you will have to start back from 0. This task is not challenging, but when paired with the other threats this game has to offer, it will quickly become stressful to even be able to manage this. Task 2 requires you to read an excerpt of Who the Fuck Knows What, and either archive it or shred it. To keep it simple, if it's good press, archive it. If it's bad press, shred that bitch. Task 3 involves sitting on your fat lazy ass and waiting for a code to decipher, and then inputting the numbers and pressing enter. Task 4 is much the same, but instead of numbers, it's arrow inputs. And that's all the tasks, which means we can start talking about the threats that this night has to offer. The first of which being the one I mentioned earlier, Yellow Bear. While you never really actually see him, he does still attack you. Throughout the night, you will be able to see posters, drawings, and books around your office that start to change to say, "It's me." If too many of these anomalies occur, Yellow Bear will appear and kill you. In order to make these anomalies go away, you will need to look forward, not have your computer on, and close your eyes for who the fuck knows how long. When you open them back up, they should be gone. If they're not, close your eyes for longer next time, dumbass. Hands down, the easiest threat in this entire game. The other threat is obviously Springtrap, or as this game calls him, just Afton. Afton will walk around the cameras and make his way to your left door. When he's there, he will make no sound cues. Or at least, if he does make a sound cue, I was just never able to hear it. When he is there, all you have to do is turn at him and stare until he moonwalks back into the darkness. Again, some of the creepiest shit I've ever seen.
So where is he?
What the fuck was that? Oh my god, that's actually so fucked. Dude, that's actually so fucked up. That's actually so fucked, dude. Oh my fuck. Oh my fuck. And that's it. Either by completing all the tasks or surviving until 6 a.m., the night will be finished and we're safe to move on to night 2. Now, before we do that, this is where I should probably talk about the tycoon section of this game, but that whole pile of bullshit will be saved until later, because in my full playthrough, which you can see on my second channel, Dexter Black, I butchered the tycoon sections so fucking horribly, you have no idea how badly I fucked them up. So I'll just save that for later. For now, we move on to Salvage 2. Salvage 2 is called Molten, who I originally thought was Ennard. And maybe it is, and this is just another case of the game giving it a different name. I'm not sure. Regardless, he is obviously the threat introduced on this night. So, how does he work? He actually has 2 different mechanics and methods of attack. The first is very similar to Afton, except he attacks from the right door instead of the left. Same thing for him, just look at him and he'll go away. However, once he goes away, he has a chance to initiate his second attack, which by the way can also happen at any time, not just when he leaves your office. Your lights will begin to flicker and an audible sound cue will be heard. This tells you that you need to very quickly find Molten on the cameras. God, is there a FNAF game in existence that doesn't have this fuck-ass mechanic? Whatever. Obviously, you'll probably be doing a task when this happens, so you'll have to type the camera control command and then start using the arrow keys to find him. When you do, you will need to type play and press enter, which will begin playing an audio lure on whatever camera you're looking at. This audio lure will make Molten piss off, which makes everyone happy. Overall, not too difficult. However, from what the community has said, Molten by far caused more deaths than any other character, and I can somewhat agree on that. Night 3 has a scrap Lefty, who in this game is a girl. Maybe Lefty was a girl in the original too? I'm not sure, not important. Lefty can prove to be a very frustrating character, but once you understand how she works, it really shouldn't be an issue. Lefty will very slowly move through the cameras to get to your office. However, if she gets to your office, she'll kill you no matter what. So you have to find a way to keep her from reaching you. Once she progresses to a camera, she will never move back. However, you can use the audio lure on whatever camera she's in to slow her down. This won't stop her from moving, but it will slow her progress dramatically. So much so that even on the hardest non-custom night she appears in, she only ever moved once for me. This obviously does bring up a conflict with Molten, but with how slowly Lefty moves, getting back to her camera in time to put the lure back on really shouldn't be much of an issue. Night 4 introduces the final new character, Baby. Baby is easily the most infuriating character throughout this entire game, and it's not even close. Baby will move through the cameras. Who the fuck cares? Once she's in your office, she will appear in the window in front of you. After a few seconds, she will either walk left or right. Depending on which direction she walks, you will have to close the door on the corresponding side. Something I didn't even know you could do up until this night. After you close the door, a small sound cue will play letting you know she's left, and then you can reopen the door. This doesn't sound too hard, I hear you saying. Well, I haven't told you about the bullshit butt-fuck wombo combo butt bang strategy that she has. Basically, the bullshit butt-fuck wombo combo butt bang strategy involves Baby doing a fucking fusion dance with Molten. And when they do, they decide it'd be really fucking funny to attack you at the same time, which, if you couldn't have guessed already, is literally an immediate loss, as both means of fending them off take up a decent amount of time. The amount of time it would take is enough to have the other butt fuck you in the ass, hence the name, bullshit butt fuck wombo combo butt bang strategy.
Hey, there's Baby up there. Oh. Yeah.
This is cooked. This is cooked. This is actually cooked. Bro, I'm fucked. I'm fucked. There's nothing I can do about that. I was pressing enter, you. That was just cooked. There was nothing I could do about that. I don't know how long I have to hold it for Baby. And he was on my ass. I really didn't know what to do there. Really didn't know what the option was. This is really the only huge RNG problem this game has, and it doesn't happen nearly as often as something like Toy Bonnie Vent AIDS does. Finally, we have Night 5, which is an interesting night, to say the least, as it's actually easier than Night 4. Sure, the animatronics are more aggressive, but I still think overall it's probably easier than Night 4 is. No new threats are added, however, one of them is removed. That being Lefty. What is the reason for having Lefty not present on this night? I'm really not sure. So this night goes just about as well as you'd expect it to. And with that, the game is over. We get a final monologue from Henry as he burns down the building with us inside, mentioning how he didn't want us to go, but he needs to bring his daughter back. I'm gonna be honest, I don't give a fuck about this ending. You wanna know why? Because it's not canon in any way. Yeah, this is the bad ending, by the way. The true ending has a lot to do with the tycoon sections of the game. And god damn it, that means it's time for me to go over this bullshit. First, let's go over how I fucked up this tycoon section as hard as I did. When you first load up the game and open the tycoon section, this is what the tycoon looks like. Fantastic. Looks like we're going to build off of this. Pretty interesting and different from the original. Want to know the fucking hilarious part? The game expects you to press this button and erase your Tycoon save data so that the tutorial for the Tycoon section will begin playing. Does it tell you to do this? No. So why the fuck would I even think to do it? Sure, I pressed the button and saw the message to erase the save in my playthrough, but this is literally the first time I'm seeing the Tycoon. Why, in God's green fuck, would I think to reset the data of the Tycoon when I've never seen it look any different? I'm expecting to get comments calling me stupid for not figuring this out, but fuck you. You wouldn't buy a game, start the game up, and then think, actually, before I start playing this brand new game I've never played before and is brand fucking new, I should reset the save data for it first. You would never think of that. I'm sorry, this is just the most retarded thing I've ever seen. There is literally no indication whatsoever that I should reset the save. If there was indication, then there wouldn't be an issue, but there isn't. I'm just shown the Tycoon and that's it. But hey, let's just relax for a moment and pretend like this part of the game actually makes sense. What exactly do you do? Well, you obviously go through the tutorial and learn how to play the Tycoon, and then can get to building. And then from there, it's just Pizzeria Simulator. Buy things from the catalog and add them to your pizzeria to get points and level up. Fantastic! Completing the tasks during the nights will give you the money you need to buy more in the Tycoon sections as well. Fantastic! Now, after completing night 1 is where the game starts to get a bit interesting. On the main menu after completing night 1, you will see this big red box. Clicking on it will reveal a statue of a banshee. Turning it to its side will reveal a note describing that you need to look northwest to find a key. Wait one night and look again to find a door, presumably that the key would be used in. Going to your Tycoon and scrolling all the way northwest, you'll be able to see a small red dot. Clicking on it will reveal a golden rose, which is presumably the key that was referenced in the note. Now, pause. I'm going to complain here again about how I fucked this up so badly. I had no idea that the map could be scrolled. Why? Because I was never taught in the tutorial, and I never saw the tutorial for reasons explained earlier. However, what I did do was click around the top northwest corner of the screen looking for this key. Clicking the big sign reveals a very dark red screen with some random text that'll become important later. So, this leads me to believe that this was the thing northwest that I was supposed to see. I thought I was doing the right thing. This series of coincidences is actually insane. Sure, there's no literal key here, but that led me to assume that the key was a metaphor for something else. Now tell me, would it be unreasonable for me to suspect some kind of retarded metaphor from a FNAF game? I don't think so, but whatever. After beating night 2, if you go back to the Tycoon and press the red dot again, you'll see a golden pillar. Altar? I don't fucking know what this thing is. You can place the rose you got from the previous night there, which reveals a drawing of the marionette. The same drawing that you can see in your office above your computer. During night 3, if you click the marionette poster, you'll see what I believe to be a chair and a clock. I think. I have no idea what I'm looking at. You can push the chair underneath the clock and the pendulum of the clock will fall. You can then collect the pendulum. You will then get kicked out of the night back to the title screen. Clicking on the red box again will show the statue once more. You can then take the pendulum and place it into the stomach of the statue. Seriously, don't read into this too much. This is some fucked up Aoni type puzzle. Don't read into it, just accept it. After completing night 3, if you click the red box again, you'll get a cutscene. In it, you'll see clouds parting in the sky and a code appears behind them, along with the text, "The safe." Then you can go into your Tycoon, and instead of typing Tycoon into the directory, you can type Clown, which will start up a remake of the Clown minigame from Pizzeria Simulator. You can also play the Ball Pit minigame and Midnight Motorist. As I'm sure you could have guessed, the Midnight Motorist minigame actually serves some sort of importance. This minigame plays a lot differently than the original. It's a text-based adventure rather than a side-scroller. In it, you can walk around a forest and look at trees. Something you all have never done before. Searching some of the trees, you can find a pendant. Walking to a lake, you can find an old man fishing. This person is who I assume to be Old Man Consequences. If you talk to him, he'll tell you the story of a girl who found a rabbit. The rabbit eventually dies and her father gets her to bury it. Later, she digs up the corpse only to find that the rabbit's fur had turned yellow. Oh my god, guys! Like Spring Bonnie, do you get it? Can you fucking believe it? Oh my god, I'm gonna bounce up and down, dropping my cheeks and testicles all over my desk. Oh yeah, you can also give the old man the pendant you found and he'll say that it belonged to her. Looking in some more trees, you can find blood-stained glasses. If you bring them to a man by a house, he'll tell you that they were your brothers. After beating night 4, you should be able to buy the safe item from the tycoon. We'll get to that later. Clicking on it will prompt you to type in a code. Typing in the code we saw in the cutscene earlier will open the safe, revealing a picture of a locked gate inside. After buying everything else in the Tycoon section, if you load the original version of the Tycoon and click the logo, you'll be sent to the gate. If you've done everything correctly, clicking on it will spawn you onto a boat. On the boat, you're told a story. Once again, I assume this story is being told by Old Man Consequences. He tells the story of Charlotte, Henry's daughter, the girl who was pushed outside of the pizzeria in the rain and left outside where she was later found dead. The story is abruptly ended by the line, "She isn't there anymore, Henry." Finally, if you've done everything properly and at the right times, when you enter night 5, the puppet will be present, likely being the reason Lefty isn't there. The puppet acts as this game's final boss. So let's quickly go over her mechanics. The puppet can appear in any of your 2 doors. When she does, simply close the doors and she'll go away. Additionally, she will play a laughing sound cue. When she does, you must find her on the cameras and stare at her until she leaves. And as far as I'm aware, that's all that she does throughout this night. That may not seem like a huge issue, but of course, when paired with everything else and the bullshit buttfuck wombo combo butt bang strategy at the same time, this can be a very stressful night. But if you manage to beat it, you'll get one last cutscene. Michael Afton, alone in the suffocating darkness. He turns his lighter on, only to see the yellow bear, his own brother, staring back at him. Unable to look away, eventually even his brother leaves, leaving Michael truly alone. Knowing there's nothing left that he can do, Michael sets the building ablaze, killing himself while also allowing the souls, his brother, and Charlotte to rest. And with that, Banshee comes to a close. But hold up! Want to hear something awesome? If you remember, I said you have to get the safe in order to get the true ending. Well, I was chatting with the owner of the FNAF fan game wiki, City, and he told me that it is literally impossible to get the safe on your first playthrough, as it isn't possible to get enough experience to get to level 5. Since your Tycoon save and your game save are separate from each other, you can restart the main game and still save your Tycoon as it was, making it possible to reach level 5 and buy the safe on the second playthrough. I personally think this is one of the stupidest things I've ever seen. Forcing someone to play through the entirety of the game twice to get an ending is insane. Yes, I'm aware New Game Plus is a thing, and yes, I hate New Game Plus as well. But aside from that, this game is truly fantastic. From the visuals, to the gameplay, to the atmosphere, and of course, the amazing retelling of the FNAF 6 story, I think it is easily one of the best FNAF games of recent times, if not ever. Easy S-tier game, and I would highly recommend it. This game does such a perfect job of bringing the fear to this series that I feel it really needs. The story of Five Nights at Freddy's is grim, and the game should amplify that, not take away from it. If you are at all familiar with my channel and how my skills are when it comes to Five Nights at Freddy's fan games, then you'd know that I'm incredibly bad at playing these games. Some may even call it a skill issue. I'm not sure what's wrong with me, but when it comes to being able to focus and complete high nerve control tasks like FNAF games, I tend to just completely drop the ball harder than my actual balls dropped. But today, I've managed to find a well-known FNAF fan game that I was actually able to 100% complete. After doing so, I was so incredibly proud of myself, I knew I had to make a video talking all about it. Typically, when it comes to FNAF games that I make videos about, I play through as much of them as I can, and when I find a night that I tend to struggle on, I'll pour at least an hour of attempts into it, whereafter, if I continue to fail, I will switch to watching someone else play the game and continue to take notes for the script. This game, however, was not like that, and the game in question is Baby's Nightmare Circus. So buckle up and get ready for me to glaze myself, because this is one of the few times in my life where I'm allowed to be happy with myself. let's dive together into the world of Baby's Nightmare Circus. Baby's Nightmare Circus opens to a black screen and a cutscene. Someone is talking to us, but we're not yet sure who it is. We know we're trapped somewhere, and this voice says that they can help us get out, but first we have to beat the game. Afterwards, we get thrown into the menu and click play. This is already where I want to stop and make a comment. After pressing play, rather than just throwing you into a night like a normal FNAF game does, this game brings you to a separate screen where you're able to see how many nights the game has in store for you, and as you beat the nights, others will unlock, sort of allowing you to pick a path when it comes to nights. It's very loose, but I'll talk more about it as it opens up. The first night of the game is a tutorial night, something I don't really see other games doing. In this tutorial night, it is impossible to lose as there are no enemies that are actually active. In this night, you're free to roam around the circus, and as you enter tents, the game will tell you who will appear in them and how to deal with them. After you've visited every tent, you'll be able to exit the night. But before we do that, I think this would be a perfect time to go over all of the animatronics that this tutorial mentions. It only seems fitting. I'm going to be splitting up the circus into two halves for this section, the front and the back. The front will refer to the direction you face by default as you enter the game, this side, and the back as the side you have to turn to, this side. Let's start with the main attraction, shall we? Nightmare Baby.
Hell no, man. What the fuck, man?
Nightmare Baby resides in the left tent on the front side of the circus. Throughout the night, she will attempt to escape the tent and rip you wide open. Now, while that may sound enticing, you need to remember that her name is Circus Baby, and that you're not into minors because you're a normal person. Get it together. There's another character you can goon over in this game that I'll cover in a minute. Keep it in your pants. In order to prevent your splitting in half, you'll need to occasionally check on Nightmare Baby's tent and flash your light to see where she's at. In this tent, she has 4 possible states. The first state will have you see nothing when you flash your light. The second state will have her duck behind that thing. I think it's a stage. I'm not sure. The third state will have her duck behind a curtain, and you'll notice she's a bit close to you then, and a little bit more than you'd care for. And the fourth and final state is where she's all up in your face, breathing really hard and causing you to catch whiffs of the most rancid breath you've ever smelled. When you see Baby quite literally 3 inches away from your face, all you need to do is quickly run out of the tent. I personally like to run back into the tent and make sure she actually left. I don't know if you need to do this, I just know that one time I didn't and I died. You might be thinking, wow, that's really easy. What's the catch? Well, you want to know the best part? There isn't one. Yeah. You're soon gonna see why I was able to actually complete this FNAF game. Staying on the front side of the circus, we enter the right side tent to find the 3 Biddy Babs. What do these guys do? Throughout the night, they will assemble like the Avengers and occasionally cause your flashlight to flicker. How on earth are they doing that to your flashlight even when you're several hundred yards away from them? How about don't fucking question it, dweeb? How about that, huh? When you notice your lights start to flicker, you will need to quickly make your way over to their tent and flash your light at them until they behave and stop. But what else do they do? Nothing. That's it. You literally never have to check on them unless your light is flickering. This game is buttfuck easy. If you're bad at these types of games but still want to play one and feel talented, Baby's Nightmare Circus is for you. Once you understand how every character works, which isn't hard, losing will become impossible. Turning around to the back of the circus, starting with the right tent, we have a very interesting character. That character being absolutely fucking nobody, because there's no animatronic in here. Instead, it's just a music box system which powers Bellora's song. She dances to it throughout the night, so we have to make sure we keep it wound up. Speaking of Bellora, heading over to the left tent is where she is. This tall glass of water looking ass will spin around in a circle on her stage. All you have to do is watch her. Literally. This is perfect for you freaks. You get paid to goon. And no, I'm not kidding. That's literally all you have to do. You'll see on the bottom of your screen a meter. It will fill up the longer you look at her and will decrease if you're not looking at her. And with Bellora out of the way, that's literally all of the characters and all of the threats in the game. I'm not joking. What? Huh? What's that? Does your flashlight at least have a power system to prevent you from easily cheesing everything ever? Oh, no. No, it doesn't. That would be too difficult. How does this game sound, guys? You might be wondering why I'm even covering it if there isn't a mechanic that's mildly annoying for me to point at and say, this motherfuck fucking sucks, fuck shit, fuck ass shit, fuck bitch. Well, I promise that there's something interesting about this game. And if you can stick it out with me to the end, you'll see what I'm talking about. As I stated previously, there are multiple different nights, but calling them levels and minigames makes much more sense. The three main levels are called the easy way, the medium way, and the hard way. That last one being a reference to my nards. All three are pretty boring and are just a slightly more difficult version of the last. You may find yourself getting a little stuck on the medium way, however, and to counter that, let me tell you the god strategy that will make completing these nights 100% possible every single time. Okay, so the night starts. Here's what you're gonna do. Immediately turn around and go check on Ballora until her meter is full. Then go over to the music box and yank on its crank. Next, you'll go back over to Ballora and fill her up again. Pause. And finally, you'll turn around and check Baby's location. If at any point you see the lights flicker, stop what you're doing and flash the Biddy Babs, and check on Baby again before you turn around to go goon to Ballora. Repeat this pattern and congratulations, you've mastered Baby's Nightmare Circus. There's quite literally nothing more you need to do. Something you will notice incredibly quickly while playing this game is that most, if not all, characters are dealt with by looking at them. Which, by the way, is the exact same mechanic as another disgusting FNAF game I'll be covering in the near future. Want to know one more super cool thing about the main gameplay loop here? No? Well, too bad. I'm going to tell you anyway. I personally have never had the Biddy Babs attack more than twice in a night. And usually they only ever attacked once, and that was right at the start of the night. I'm not sure if this is a bug or if they seriously were meant to rarely attack, but goddamn is this game easy. But let's take a short break from the main gameplay loop to talk about the three minigames in this game: Mini Arena Rules, Bon Bon Rules, and Bonnet Rules. Let's start with Mini Arena Rules, as it will be the first one you're able to access. Mini Arena Rules consists of 3 tents. This minigame is pretty similar to the plush trap minigame from FNAF 4 in a way. Mini Arena can appear at any of the 3 tents, and you will have to perform a different action depending on which one she's at. I'm gonna give you a small spoiler here and say that every single minigame is exactly the same. The only difference between them is which tents have which actions, and which character is trying to kill you in each game. I don't need to go over each game and waste your time, so I'll quickly go over the 3 actions. For one of the tents, you have to just hold your flashlight on them. The second tent requires you to flash them with your flashlight several times. And the third tent has you scratch your ass and not even bother turning your flashlight on. No, I'm not joking. It's really that easy. How do you know when they're there? Well, you can't just flash your light anytime you want because they will kill the fuck out of you. But lucky for us, the characters will always make a very noticeable sound cue when they've entered a tent. When you hear that, you just turn your light on to see which tent they're at and then respond accordingly. At the beginning of the minigame, the game will tell you which tent corresponds to which action. So whoopity-doo, these minigames are really just time wasters. Let's talk about the next interesting night called Fun Times. Oh boy, I wonder what interesting and unique mechanics will appear on this night. Fucking nothing! It's the same mechanics as the last 3 nights, just with different characters. Instead of Nightmare Baby, you have Nightmare Funtime Freddy. Ballora is replaced with Nightmare Funtime Foxy, and the Biddy Babs are replaced with nothing because it's just the Biddy Babs again.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Could have at least swapped them out with Electro Babs. That way, them being able to mess with your flashlight would actually make a little bit of sense, but no, whatever, that's fine. How about difficulty? Is this night any harder? No. No, it isn't. You can beat this night just as easily as the previous nights using the God strategy I mentioned earlier. Well, it looks like there's one more night. What could it be? Fun Times 2. Well, okay, is there anything different about— Why are you even fucking asking a stupid ass question like that? Have you not been watching the video? No, there's nothing different about it. I was prepared for this night to be significantly harder than the last, but it wasn't, not even a little bit. There are so many conceivable ways to fix this game and make it a little bit more interesting. The first thing I can think of is giving the flashlight power. That would make this game worlds harder. And to be clear, I don't believe difficulty is what makes a game good, but this game is so easy, you seriously don't even have to focus on it. While I was playing this game, most of the time I was telling random stories or ranting about something random, which you can hear if you watch my playthrough series over on Dexter Black. Go subscribe, by the way. It's miles behind this channel in subscribers, and I think that's really sad. If you like this channel, then you'll like that one too. But now I promise something a little different is going to happen in this game. We've unlocked a level called N Night. If you couldn't figure out what that means, it's just a night with Ennard in it. How does it play? Well, I've got good news and bad news. The good news is it's not the same setup as the previous levels, so you can't just use the God strategy. However, the bad news is this is arguably the easiest level in the entire game. No joke. It's easy as fuck. Let me explain it to you. So, Ennard will appear at random in any of the 4 tents. When he goes to one, he will make a sound to hint at which tent he entered. If he's in Bellora's tent, you'll be able to hear faint music. If he's in the music box tent, you'll be able to hear the crank. If he's in the Biddy Bab's tent, your flashlight will start to flicker. And if he's in Baby's tent, you'll hear him grunting, I think? I don't really know what that sound is that he's making in there. Once you know which tent he's in, you'll have to quickly go to said tent and rapidly flash your flashlight at him until he goes away. That's it. Nothing else. No Biddy Babs, no Bellora, no music box, no baby, just Ennard moving around. To give him some credit, he moves around pretty quickly, so you'll be running around a lot, but by no means is this level hard in the slightest. But something else interesting about this night is the reward you get for beating it. Rewards are something I've neglected to mention thus far, and that's because they're not really important at all, until now. To quickly go over everything, beating the easy way gives you a gold coin, beating the medium way gives you a silver coin, not sure why you get a worse coin for beating a more difficult night, but fuck it, right? Beating the hard way gives you a golden baby head, don't get any fucked up ideas, you freaks. Fun Times gives you a golden Freddy head, Fun Times Round 2 gives you a fun time portrait of Foxy and Freddy about to make out, Mini Arena Rules gives you a golden Nightmare Arena, again, no funny ideas. Bon Bon Rules gives you a Bon Bon doll, which is adorable. Bonnet Rules gives you a golden bonnet head, and as I already mentioned, N Night gives you a mysterious key. This key will be important, but I'll get more into it later when it becomes more relevant. The final level that unlocks after beating N Night is Baby Geist Attacks. That sounds really fun and difficult. I can't wait to hear about it. I hear you saying, well, shut the fuck up because it's not hard and I wouldn't exactly call it fun either. Baby Geist Attacks is pretty much just a reskinned N Night with a few differences. The biggest being that Baby Geist doesn't make noise to tell you which tent she's entered. That sounds scary, but all you need to do is spin around in a circle and check every tent one by one. You probably won't lose if you do this, and if you do lose, it's just sheer luck. The only other change is that the flashlight doesn't beat her. Instead, on this night, you're given a taser to administer a controlled shock. This taser has a cooldown, so don't use it unless you see Baby Geist. When you find her, all you have to do is use the taser, and she'll move to another tent. Do this until 6 AM, and congrats, you've beaten the game. After completing Baby Geist Attacks, another cutscene plays. The voice from the beginning of the game reveals itself to be a balloon boy-looking son of a bitch named Biddy. He congratulates us on removing Baby Geist from the game, but says that it will always come back. Crazy because I didn't see William Afton anywhere, so you're really just stealing his line, but I suppose I'll let it slide. The prize for beating this level is Baby Geist's endoskeleton, and this is also where you learn that this game has multiple endings, with the game displaying that we've unlocked the Baby Geist ending, getting a star on the title screen. Alright boys, time to go hunting. The next ending involves that key that we got from N Night. After obtaining it, if you go back to N Night and head over to the music box tent, you'll be able to see a chest with a keyhole in it. You can use the key on the chest to unlock it, which stops the night and causes a cutscene to play. Biddy tells us we can open the chest, but it's useless and won't help with our sanity. The contents of the chest are just a mutilated Foxy plush that doesn't do anything. I'm sure it has some form of symbolism, but from what I've read, nobody knows what that would be. The final ending I have to talk about is called the Broken Ending, and getting it is a bit more interesting than the other two. Every time you die, there's a chance of you getting an item called "What is this?" Trust me, getting this item isn't the easiest, since dying in this game is pretty hard if you couldn't tell. When you interact with this item in the prize corner, it will tell you that you can break the game by finding a red line and holding the keys on your keyboard to the letters in the name Biddy. By entering any of the normal levels and turning around, you'll be able to see a faint red line in the sky. If you hold down those letters and click the line, the game will freak the fuck out, and an 8-bit minigame will begin. You'll see an 8-bit version of Biddy on your screen, and clicking him will cause him to melt, and several more will appear on screen afterwards. After committing Biddy genocide, the Destroy Him minigame will begin. Biddy will start spinning in a circle, and you'll have to click him multiple times, with him becoming faster and faster the more you click him. After beating him, a distorted version of his face will appear, and the player will notice they're stuck inside their own broken mind. By the way, if you want a quick lore dump, the player in the game got stuck inside of his own game and he's trying to get out. Pretty simple. And with that, that's all Baby's Nightmare Circus has to offer. There's actually one pretty large segment I neglected to mention, that being Classic Mode. After beating Baby Geist attacks, you'll be able to unlock Classic Mode, one last chance for the developer to escape the game. Classic Mode looks similar to a normal FNAF game, and the first night would have you think that it is. Night 1 plays normal. With characters coming to your doors, you can check cameras and close the doors whenever they get too close. It's not too hard because it's only Night 1, and upon trying to enter Night 2, Biddy shows himself. He says he doesn't want these last 5 nights to be a boring FNAF game. He says he's going to remove the doors. Fun fact about Night 1, it's actually impossible to lose. Even if you close the doors the entire night, the power drops at a constant rate. Night 1 is completely scripted, so losing can't happen. Just something fun to note. And beating Night 1 will give you some gold coins. Night 2 starts in a backstage-like area where you have to go back and forth staring at different animatronics, with Freddy getting a bit too close at times. After doing this for a bit, you'll get jump scared by Biddy, and then Night 2 actually begins. At this point, you'll be placed in a vent with Funtime Foxy as your main threat. You'll have to slowly crawl forward and listen for Foxy crawling around. When you hear him, you need to stop moving. Once his banging stops, you can keep moving. Incredibly easy, but something cool is that halfway through you'll be able to see Foxy's eye. Just a nice little touch that I thought was pretty sick. After beating Night 2, you'll be given a Funtime Foxy doll, which is just adorable. Night 3 is my favorite of the 5 nights in Classic Mode. You're placed in front of a shelf, and you'll have to make sure that several Biddy Babs don't see you. You'll be able to see their eyes peering at you, and you'll have to move different objects on the shelf in order to block their vision of you until the night ends. It's not hard by any means, but I just thought this night was really fun. Beating Night 3 will give you a Golden Nightmare Biddy Bab statue. Night 4 is unironically the hardest moment in this entire game, but not for the reason you'd think. It starts with you in an office similar to FNAF 6. After turning on the computer, you'll be greeted with 3 buttons: a camera button, a ventilation button, and a let's play button. On the cameras, you'll be able to see Ennard and Baby Geist moving around. The cameras are useless, by the way, and serve no purpose as they're not actually moving around any map. The ventilation is what really matters. Throughout the night, it will decrease, and you'll have to constantly check it and keep winding it up. I don't know why the ventilation is like a music box, but just don't think about it, I guess. The Let's Play button is what is actually important. The minigame here is just Pong, but you control both paddles. Every time the ball hits a paddle, you'll get a point. After you reach 40 points, you'll be redirected to a new minigame. And this new minigame is the reason this night is the hardest. This new minigame is similar to a bullet hell, where you have to move your player up and down to avoid obstacles approaching you. It starts off pretty easy, with several Balloras dancing towards you. After a bit, they start to rotate, definitely a little more challenging, but still nothing hard. Then, out of fucking nowhere, the screen starts to shift up. And this is why this night is so hard. This section is so disorienting, because not only do the Balloras scroll, your player scrolls as well. And right when it happens, you'll be holding up to avoid a Ballora. But then the screen will start pushing you up as you're holding up. causing you to move right into Bellora's ass, which isn't unappealing, but I'm trying to beat the game right now, not beat my meat. This minigame isn't literally super hard, but it's mildly frustrating enough for me to feel the need to mention it. I did not have a lot of fun with this section, and you can see my salt over on the Dexter Black channel. After the fuckhead Belloras, you'll have a few lol bits to dodge, and after that, you're home free, and you will get an old TV as a reward. Night 5 begins with Biddy telling you there's actually no way to escape and that he's been lying to us this whole time. We get so pissed we actually start punching the fuck out of him, which I think is hilarious and totally deserved. After a large enough beating, he transforms into Nightmare Biddy, and we learn that the final night is a battle against him. Can you guess how you beat him? If you said your flashlight, you'd be unsurprisingly correct. You'll be placed back into the office you saw on night 1, but with no cameras and no doors. To be fair, he did say he was gonna get rid of your doors, so I guess he's not a complete liar. Your goal on this night is to deplete his power using a panel in your office. When you press the deplete button, it will very slowly drain Biddy's power. He'll be attacking you the whole time. You'll be able to hear him making noise in one of your ears, which is a level of ASMR I was never ready for.
I see.
What the fuck is he saying? Goes on crack. When you hear him on a side of your room, you'll have to peek out of the door on that side and flash him with your flashlight to keep him away. Do this until the power is depleted, and congrats, you've beaten Biddy. You're given a book with his face on it, and the game seemingly comes to a close. But judging by the word seemingly, I'm sure you know we're not done yet. Going to the prize corner, you can actually look inside the book and see every character you've gone up against in classic mode, with the exception of one grayed out silhouette we haven't seen before. Clicking on that page throws you into one final boss fight with Mr. Afton. Oh shit, I guess he does always come back. This fight, while unique, also isn't hard like the rest of the game. In this fight, you'll be back in the office again. This time, you'll have your doors and your cameras, which are actually useful this time around. If you ever see Afton in one of your hallways, you'll have to quickly, and I do mean quickly, close the doors until he leaves. This is the only difficult part of this boss fight. The speed you have to have, it isn't anything crazy like some other FNAF games, but for this game, it's incredibly noticeable. The only other place Afton can be seen is in your vents. If you see him there, you'll just have to stare at him on the cameras until he leaves. That can get scary because of your power situation, but I've got a small theory about that. I don't think your power can run out. I honestly believe that your power decreases at a constant rate like it does in night 1. I never lost due to running out of power, so that's something I can't confirm. But let me know your guys' experience with it in the comments. After beating Mr. Afton, the game pretty much is over. We have 3 more prizes to collect though, and these can be collected in 2 hidden minigames. The final prize you get from unlocking all the prizes. The first minigame can be found on night 2. Instead of moving forward in the vents, you can hold S to move backwards. Once you move your character off screen, you'll be thrown into a minigame where all you have to do is walk forward and collect a plushie. That plushie being the prize that gets added to the prize corner. But before collecting it, you'll notice a shelf that looks oddly familiar. It's the same shelf that's on night 3. You'll need to take note of the order that the objects are placed on this shelf. On night 3, while defending yourself from the Biddy Babs, you'll have to arrange the different items on the shelf in the same order you saw them in the minigame. I recommend just taking a picture of it like I did. After doing so, you'll be thrown into another minigame where you also just walk around and grab a plushie. After doing so, you'll unlock the final prize, which is just a picture of multiple locations you've seen throughout the game. And with that, you've officially 100%ed Baby's Nightmare Circus, and that's all the game has to offer. So the new official Five Nights at Freddy's game has come out, Into the Pit, a 2D side-scroller the likes of which the series has never really seen, unless you count the minigames from the other games, but I'm not gonna count those. I've recently played through the entirety of the game, and let's just say I have a lot I want to talk about, both good and bad. Also, Megacat Studios, the crew that made Into the Pit, emailed me and offered to send me some free Steam keys for the game. So at the end of this video, I'll be doing a giveaway for 3 free copies of Into the Pit. Stick around to the end for more details. I don't want to waste any of your time, so let's just hop right into Five Nights at Freddy's Into the Pit. Let me just begin by saying, after the absolute fucking dumpster fire train wreck that was the Security Breach games, I did not have high hopes for the future of Five Nights at Freddy's. Maybe I'll cover those games in a different video where I can go into much deeper detail as to why I despise them so much. Let me know if that's something you'd be interested in seeing. I did not go into this game with high expectations, but after completing it, I have to be honest, for a good 80% of the game, it's actually really, really good. Like, really fucking good. I actually had a really fun time playing this game, even through my frustration. I should mention that I dislike the style of gameplay that Into the Pit goes for, that being the walk around doing task simulator while enemies randomly patrol and chase you when they find you. I personally dislike that style of gameplay, but I wasn't going to let that stop me from trying my best to enjoy it. And again, for the most part, I really did. Let's just jump straight in, beginning with the prologue. In Into the Pit, we play as a kid named Oswald. He's a pudgy, scared little bitch loser, and nobody aside from his family likes him, I guess. There's this whole subplot in this game about him being bullied, but it's not really expanded on more than having a kid say, "Haha, you're fat, Lamau," so I really don't think I need to go into it a whole lot. Oswald's dad used to work at a mill in the tiny little town that they live in, but at some point the mill got all fucked and his dad doesn't work there anymore. Nowadays, Oswald's dad takes him to the local pizza place during the summer, Jeff's Pizza, while he goes to do, you know, whatever it is dads with hot wives do that don't have jobs. What the fuck do you want from me? I don't know. While Oswald is at the pizza place, he eats pizza. No shit. Probably why he's fat if this is happening every night, which seems to be the case. And most of the time, his dad comes to pick him up way later than he originally promised. One night, Oswald is fed the fuck up and decides he's going to go into an old room with a pizzeria and hide in the ball pit to scare his dad as revenge for picking him up late again. Nothing like being the most petty individual on earth, am I right, guys? Up top. When Oswald jumps into the ball pit, he emerges to find himself years in the past before Jeff's Pizza was, well, fucking Jeff's Pizza. Instead, we learn that it was previously a Freddy Fazbear's location. Now's a quick time to mention that this game is based off of the FNAF book Into the Pit. I'm sure you knew that, so if you're familiar with the story that book tells, then this is gonna seem pretty redundant to you. Getting out of the ball pit, we walk around and find Bonnie pelvic thrusting at a group of minors. Very appropriate, thank you Bonnie. And eventually find 2 kids, Chip and Mike. Chip and Mike quickly become our friends and start to show us around. Oswald is a little fucking idiot and has no idea what's going on, but decides to follow Chip and Mike as they show him around. They take us to a skee ball machine where we play skee ball. I don't know what else you were thinking we'd do at a skee ball machine. Afterwards, we all decide to play a game of hide and seek. We choose possibly the worst hiding place I've ever witnessed in my whole life and climb inside of an animatronic suit. This choice right here is another reason I'm adding to my list of why children are the dumbest species on the face of the planet. While in this suit, out of nowhere, and with no warning, Springtrap quakes his ass into frame and makes some of the most disgusting noises I've ever heard in my 20 years on this floating rock. And yes, I know this is technically Spring Bonnie at this point, but I'm not gonna call him that. And I know you don't want me to call him that either. It's Springtrap, eat my taint. As soon as Springtrap walks away, we hop out of the suit to find that the entire restaurant has spiraled into pandemonium. Kids are screaming, lights are flickering, I'm pointing and laughing, and Springtrap is on a fucking rampage. We run around looking for Chip and Mike when we see Springtrap off inside of a room. We follow behind him and see this. Gross. But hey, we get to see Springtrap walk away with an ass so caked up, I think I need to grab myself a slice. Nah, who am I kidding? I'm a little fucking glutton. I'm gonna grab the fattest clump of that rump. Following him into the next room, we see something that I never in a million years thought we would have ever gotten to see. Opening a door, we see what I can only assume to be the 6 dead missing children. Holy shit, I gotta talk about this real quick. I think this is something the series needed after they chose to continue after Pizzeria Simulator, which, by the way, I think was a mistake. Showing the actual scene of the missing children after 10 years of hearing about it is so cool. Even though you only see their legs, it's somehow still incredibly satisfying, like we're wrapping up a storyline. Even though we all know William's story is going to be run into the ground for the next 5 years at least. We quickly run out of the room, sharting and pissing our pants, and vault back into the ball pit, coming back out into Jeff's Pizza, where Jeff and our father are waiting for us. Our dad comes to take us home when Springtrap hops out of the ball pit and grabs that fucker, yanking his crank back into the ball pit. Oswald grabs his dad and pulls him out, and we learn that Dad has become possessed by Springtrap. At least now there's a reason to call him Daddy, with his fat yellow rabbit ass. He forces us out of the pizzeria and back home, never saying a word. This is when the prologue finishes and we get launched into the first night. The way this game is set up, it has us performing tasks to progress the night rather than just surviving, which I'll admit is definitely a fresh of breath air for the series. Our first objective is to call Mom. I'm going to mention right now that I'm not going to explain each and every little detail of how you're meant to do things. This video would be like 3 hours long if I did that, and I don't want to make my editor Link blow his brains out. We go to the fridge to get Mom's number and go to Dad's room to grab his phone, but there's a small problem. Springtrap is laying on our parents' bed, preventing us from grabbing it. This is where we learn a very important mechanic in this game: making a fuck ton of noise. There are several objects around the environment that you can interact with in this game to make more noise than a terrorist attack. I'm serious, these things are really fucking loud. When you cause loud noises like this, Springtrap will run to the room the noise came from to check it out, much like he does in Five Nights at Freddy's 3. You can use this to your advantage to force him to go places and then, maneuver around him all snake-like. It's also at this point we learn another incredibly important mechanic: hiding. It's exactly what you think it is. There are several places in the game where you can hide from animatronics, and a lot of them have little mini games you have to play to not blow your cover. To get Springtrap out, we blow up a sewing machine or something and hide in a closet. When Springtrap leaves, we enter our parents' room and grab our dad's phone and call Mom, telling her there's something wrong with Dad and that she needs to come home immediately. Just a note, Oswald's mom is a nurse who works very long hours. We meet Mom in the living room and tell her what we've seen and that, again, something is wrong with Dad. Just then, the fat fucker himself waddles in, but of course, he no longer looks like Springtrap, and it appears that nobody besides us can see his glowing eyes. Mom basically tells us to fuck off, and we're left on our own. This is where we really start the full gameplay loop of this game. When the night starts, we have to find a unique way out of the house while avoiding Spring Daddy, and then make our way out to the pizzeria, jump in the ball pit, and search for our dad. Each night you'll have to find a new way to get out, and instead of going over each one every night, I'm just going to tell you each way that you can do it right now so that I don't have to do it later. The first way is just by walking out of the fucking door. Who would have thought? Another way is by going into the basement and grabbing some rope, heading up to the attic and climbing out of the window. Then another night you can grab a ladder from the attic and slowly, monotonously, and painstakingly walk it to the basement and use it to climb out of the window. And finally, using a screwdriver to open Oswald's window and climb out. Hooray! Let's keep it moving. Going back to Jeff's Pizza, we hop into the ball pit and soon find a kid stuck in a fucking endoskeleton. I know this isn't a literal horrifying sight, but damn, this game is showing more than I thought it ever would, and I like it. We decide to help this stupid child, but we need a screwdriver in order to open the suit. We know there's a screwdriver in the basement, but it's locked because God hates us. We exit the ball pit and talk to Jeff, who says he'll give us the key if we dump his trash. After doing so at the mill where our dad used to work, we take the key from Jeff and unlock the door. Back through the ball pit, we use the screwdriver to let the kid out, and Springtrap decides he's had too much to drink and needs to hit something, and we just so happen to be the closest living thing in sight. We quickly run back to the ball pit and escape. The next day just so happens to be our first day of school, so we grab our lunch and go to school. While at school, we watch a kid commit arson and detonate an illegal explosive in the middle of the playground, and that's about all the substance we get from this school day, but that bomb kid will be important later. Speaking of, we go find that kid after school and ask him for a firecracker, and he says that he'll trade us one for something cool, and that we'll be able to find him at the library after school every day. Walking outside of school, Oswald uses his Skibbity Toilet Riz to talk to a girl, who gives him a notebook filled with a bunch of Freddy Fazbear related material. And I'm sorry, I don't really have the energy to dive into the lore of this game too much, And I'm pretty confident that if you're watching FNAF review content like this, you're already pretty familiar with the story of FNAF. Talking about the lore would just add so much unneeded time to this video, and again, I'm trying to keep my editor from taking an entire bottle of prescription pain meds. After talking to the girl, we go back home and it's time for night 2. After escaping the house, we head back to Jeff's and jump into the ball pit. When we enter, the lights to the building fuck themselves and we're taught to use a breaker to reset them. Thank you, game. Another mechanic based on randomization. I bet there won't be 500 more of those. While looking around for our dad, we walk into the kitchen and see Chica poking around and being a little stupid fat ass. She jumps us and we run off. This is where we learn Chica's interesting mechanic. Chica will walk around the building randomly. If she sees you, unlike Springtrap, rather than chase you, she'll instead scream at the top of her lungs, alerting Springtrap to your location. It's not really that bad, so I'm not going to complain about her. Yet. But I promise, later in the video, I will. While running away, Oswald fucking trips over absolutely fucking nothing and drops his lunch, which I guess he didn't eat at school. Chica walks over and eats that bitch. This is a great time to mention another super awesome and totally not random game mechanic. While running, Oswald can just randomly topple to the floor, and he loves to do this while he's being chased. And then he loves to face fuck the ground for 5 minutes instead of getting his fat ass up. I hate life all the time, constantly. We know that Chica the Fat loves food more than starving children, so to distract her, we decide to go to Jeff's to get a slice of pizza. We talk to Jeff, who says, "Fuck you, pay up, bitch," but we're broke as a joke, so that isn't gonna happen. There's a lady in the pizzeria who says she hates rats, and earlier we picked up a rat trap. I didn't mention us picking up the rat trap, but that's because you pick up a whole bunch of random shit all the time, and I don't want this entire video to be me going, "And then we picked up the rat trap, and then we picked up the token, and then..." I'm not gonna do that. That's annoying. I don't want to tell you everything that we interact with. We go back to the pit and use the rat trap to catch a fat ass rat and take it back to Jeff's. We release the rat next to the lady, which distracts Jeff, and we can sneak our way into the kitchen to get some pizza. We head back into the pit and use the pizza to lure Chica out of the kitchen. Once inside, we find Mike all curled up in a cupboard. We head back to the entrance of the pizzeria with Mike, and we ask him where Chip is, but our conversation is rudely interrupted by a rabbit thicker than Judy Hopps. Mike ditches us like a bitch, and we run back into the ball pit and escape. Time for night 3. We head to school that morning and get bullied by some random kid I don't care about. He slaps us in the face with a sticky hand and a teacher takes it from him, and we decide that we want it, I guess. Why? Beats me, who fucking knows? We have a panic attack in the classroom and our teacher sends us to go get her book from the principal's office to calm down. But the Tina Belcher looking ass principal decides she's gonna be and tells us she locked herself out of her office, and it's now our responsibility to look for the keys. We find them and she lets us into the office where not only do we grab the teacher's book, but also the sticky hand she took from the bully earlier. Why the teacher set it in the principal's office instead of her desk or something, I'll never know, but that's not important. Moving on to the night, after escaping the house, we head back into the ball pit to look for Chip and our dad. Before we do that, I really want to mention that there's multiple endings to this game. I'll briefly mention all of them towards the end of the video, but I'll be covering the true ending throughout the bulk of the video. Really couldn't think of a better point in the video to mention that. I'm really shitty at writing scripts, as I'm sure you can tell. But basically, as you go through the game, you pick up a bunch of random technology, and you can use those pieces of tech to repair the arcade machines in Jeff's Pizza and play minigames to earn tickets. With those tickets, you can earn prize vouchers, and in order to get the true ending, you need to repair all of the machines and get all the prizes. These minigames themselves are boring as well, and would be boring as hell to cover, so I'm just not gonna do that. Just know that repairing all of them is important. Anyways, back into the ball pit we go. We decide that we want to look for our dad in the arcade, but fuck us. The arcade is locked because this is a horror game. We use the sticky hand we stole from the school to slap a vent, which for some reason had the key to the arcade in it. Does it make sense? Not at all. Am I gonna question it? No, I'm too tired to care, my guy. We unlock the arcade and walk in, only to find Bonnie tying Chip up to the side of an arcade machine. I didn't know Bonnie was into bondage, and if I wasn't so obsessed with Springtrap's big fat patty whacker double-decker freshly baked cake, I'd probably be really into it. We run out of the room and figure we need to find a way to distract Bonnie so we can save Chip. We notice Bonnie didn't have his guitar, so we decide that we'll play it, since the notebook we got from the girl at school mentioned never to try to play his guitar. We know we saw his guitar in the back room, but that was also broken as fuck. We head back to Jeff's and ask him about guitar strings, like that stoner would know anything about that. No, fuck that, he's an idiot. We go to the mill to dig through the trash for guitar strings, and lucky us, there were some. Mazel tov. Oh yeah, also the bully was there, but I don't care, that's not very important. Going back into the ball pit, we repair Bonnie's guitar, hook it up to a speaker on the stage, and play the most atrocious song I've ever heard. Wait, no, scratch that. JoJo Siwa makes music, and that shit is miles upon miles worse and makes me want to hurl. This pisses Bonnie off, and now we're free to go into the arcade. We untie Chip and ask him about our dad, but then Freddy's juicy ass walks into the room, and we all bust it down and freak out, quickly run, and plunge into the ball pit. Rah! Night 4 time, bitches! But first, it's time for school. But first again, I need to mention that while in your attic, you can find a Freddy mask. This item is very important. I should have really mentioned this earlier, but again, I'm abhorrent at script writing. I don't know what you want from me. Going back to school, we find the stupid, useless group of bullies, and that's when Oswald starts hallucinating like he was smoking meth, and the bullies turn into animatronics, with Bonnie, yet again, pelvic thrusting at a child like he didn't just get off of probation. Oswald kicks the shit out of one of the bullies and runs away, canonically revealing that he can be convicted of a hit and run. Oswald says, fuck this, I'm just gonna go to the pit and finish this. But before he does that, he does go to the library and trades the Freddy mask from the attic for a firecracker from the kid from day one, if you can remember that. Which I'm sure you do because you're more obsessed with Five Nights at Freddy's than you are eating. We now head back to the pizzeria and decide we need to check the office. I'm just now realizing as I'm typing the script that I forgot to mention Bonnie and Freddy's mechanics, so let me do that real quick. Bonnie can hide in most hiding places that you can. You'll be able to faintly see him in one if he is. If you try to hide in the location Bonnie is in, he'll toss you like a salad and eat it from the back. Freddy, I'm gonna be real. I don't really know how he works. I've tried looking it up, but I literally can't find an answer. I'm pretty sure that he can just be at a door you try to enter, and if he is, then he'll spook you. It literally never happened to me other than the one scripted time that it happens, so I really can't say. I know it has something to do with doors though, I'm pretty sure. Someone please tell me his mechanics in the comments. I really want to know. Anyways, we go to the office door, and as we go to open it, Freddy busts like a nut out of the door, but luckily for us, we have an explosive weapon that we illegally obtained, and we blow that fucker up and blind his ass. While he's in a state of shock, we enter the office and find another fucking kid. Are you serious? I couldn't give less of a damn about this stupid ass kid. Whatever, I guess we'll help her. Springtrap is being a bitch, so we use the cameras in the office to find where he is, and use one of the many noise-making machines to lure him away. Going back to the office, we find that the girl is now gone. God damn it. We check the cameras again and see Springtrap taking her to what I can only imagine is a sex dungeon. Absolutely foul. We chase after his ass and find that he put the girl in the freezer in the kitchen, but the handle is locked and we need to find a way to break it. Instead of grabbing the hammer that's conveniently placed on the wall in the back room where we got the screwdriver, we instead decided it'd be a better idea to break a cartoony ass wooden hammer off the arcade machine and use that instead. Whatever, I guess. We use the hammer to free the girl from the freezer, and who would have guessed, Springtrap chases us while drooling, looking at our ass quake as we run away from him. And we jump back into the ball pit. So much for ending it tonight, huh, Oswald? Anyways, night 5, let's finish this shit up, huh? Today we say fuck school and just head straight to the ball pit, but fuck, the door is locked. We go to Jeff to ask why, and he says someone's been breaking in. Wonder who that could be. We get Jeff to give us the key, and as we walk out of his office, Springtrap gawks at our jiggling cheeks again, and we run into the ball pit. The only room we haven't gone into yet is the room where Afton cranked some sick 90s on those kids, but the door is locked via a keycard. We figure it's somewhere in the back room, but fuck us, Freddy and sex offender Bonnie are blocking the curtain, so we have to take the long way and go into the vent to get into the back room, where we find a pile of dead animatronics, and amidst the pile we find the keycard, and then we use the keycard to open the door. I don't know what you thought would happen. Going inside, we find another random girl. Oh my goodness, where is my goddamn dad, dude? She tells us she heard some snoring coming from the vent, and Oswald immediately knows that it's his dad because he's a lazy fuck who sleeps a lot, I guess. I don't know, dude. I'm tired, man. We call through the vent, and lo and behold, we find our dad knocked out in a chair. We untie him and then hear Springtrap coming, so we hide in the vent. Springtrap drags our dad out of the room because we haven't yet reached our runtime threshold and need to pan a little bit more time. We run back to the ball pit and find Springtrap strangling the shit out of our dad. We punch his ass in the face because I want him to be choking me like that, and we quickly throw our dad into the ball pit and follow after him. Back at Jeff's, Springtrap jumps out of the ball pit and gets caught in some of the netting and just gives up, I guess. He like moves a little bit, but then he's like, oh no, I'm done, dude. Dad and us walk outside, he apologizes or whatever, and boom, game over. After post-credits, we watch Jeff go into the ball pit and get fucking murdered by Springtrap. I know I said I was covering the true ending, and I will be, but I think this ending is really funny and probably the most common ending people get. So, what are the other endings, and how specifically do you get them? Let's start with the leave ending. If instead of helping the kid stuck in the endoskeleton in night 1, you just walk out of that bitch, the game ends and you get the leave ending, which I'm pretty sure is actually called the see ya dad ending, which is actually the first ending I ever got. Moving on to the bad ending, if you collect none of the special dad items throughout the game, when you reach the final Springtrap section, when you and your dad make it back to Jeff's, Springtrap will jump out of the ball pit and grab Oswald, dragging him back in, and Oswald wakes up in Springtrap's bondage dungeon, and only God knows what happens in that awful place. The Jeff died ending is the ending that I first covered. Obviously, and to get it, you need to collect all 5 of your dad's items in the Fazbear location. They're not hard to find, and when you rescue the girl on night 5, she'll drop a strange picture. You'll need that as well. To unlock the true ending, this one is a doozy. You need to collect all 5 dad items, the strange photo, repair all the arcade machines and win all of their minigames, and complete the 3 secret minigames, those being Count the Ways, Fetch, and To Be Beautiful. You can unlock Count the Ways by interacting with the candy machine by the employees only door a whopping 100 fucking times, which takes like 5 minutes. It's really fucking stupid and I hate it. You can unlock Fetch by collecting 100 tickets from playing the arcade machines and trading them in for 5 vouchers, then interacting with the prize machine a few times. And finally, you can unlock To Be Beautiful by calling your mom while standing next to the candy machine. Does it make sense? Of course not. Was it fun? Not even a little bit. Do I regret doing it? A little bit, honestly, yeah, but whatever. After doing all that and saving Dad, instead of Jeff going into the ball pit room and dying, Jeff's pizza suddenly becomes packed, and everyone has a good time enjoying pizza. Hooray! Now, what if I told you there was a secret ending that's not very secret and is actually super easy to get called What Am I Ending? Yeah, there is, and it's really easy. After saving your dad, if you fail the QuickTime event with Springtrap, you'll appear on stage and all of the animatronics will be waving at you. As you walk to the end of the party room, Springtrap will greet you and your eyes will begin to glow. And boom, that's, as far as I know, all the endings the game has to offer. Now I want to talk about the difficulty. More specifically, Nightmare Mode, also known as the mode that makes me want to lather my penis in honey and stick it in a fire anthill. Let's quickly run by what it does. Checkpoints? Fuck you. This mode's permadeath. You die, you restart. Are you fucking tugging on my cock? That's bullshit, and you know it is. 80% of the gameplay is luck-based. You can't throw some permadeath bullshit at me in a luck game. Springtrap and Chica move around randomly, Oswald can randomly fall the fuck over, and Springtrap is faster than you. Are you serious? No, I'm not done complaining yet. You want to distract Springtrap with some noise? Guess what, fucker? There's a consequence. Every time you use a noise machine, Springtrap breaks that shit and you can never use it again the whole run. Meaning if you run out, you'll have to rely on Chica, but Chica moves around randomly, so you can never actually use her to her full potential. Wanna hide? Guess what? Some of the hiding places can't be used. Fuck you, idiot. The animatronics? Don't even get me started. If you thought you saw Springtrap a lot before, you're not even ready for how frequently you'll see this fucker now. Bonnie miraculously spawns under every table in existence. Freddy is somehow at every conceivable area. Foxy doesn't exist, but if he did, I bet he'd be shitty. Oh, did your sticky keys activate during a chase, so you Alt F4 to prevent death, only to then remember you forgot to repair the arcade machines again, so you just continued, forgetting that you did that on the night you Alt F4'd, literally preventing you from getting the true ending? That last part didn't happen to me, but it did happen to Markiplier.
Okay, there we go. Come on, let's go. Oh, no, you fucking don't. Oh, you fucking sticky key.
Just shut your sticky keys off, my guy. It ain't that hard. Shaking my head, bro. Speaking of Foxy, by the way, yeah, he's actually not in this game, period. You might be asking yourself, why? He is one of, if not the most popular character in the game's history, yet for some reason, all of the more recent games haven't really been adding him. Why did Into the Pit not add him too? Well, that's because this game is based off of the novel, and Foxy wasn't in the novel, so he wasn't in the game either. It's that simple. I've never read any of the FNAF books, so I didn't know that, but now I do. And you do too. Hooray! But yeah, I'm pretty sure that's all Into the Pit has to offer. I'm sure there's a metric fuck ton of Easter eggs that I didn't cover, but that's never really the point of my videos. I care about the gameplay more than other things. Story, of course, is important, but I honestly stopped caring about the FNAF storyline after FNAF 6. Overall, I actually really liked this game. Looking at where the series has been heading in recent years, with the shit show that was Security Breach and the dirty band-aid that was Ruin, I really had lost all hope for the series. And as far as Steel Wool FNAF games go, my hope still remains shattered, especially with the Secret of the Mimic game around the corner, which you better believe I'll be covering when it comes out in 2025. But this game felt different studio. And it felt like Scott had much more of an effect on this game. It feels like Mega Cat actually cares about the creative integrity of this game instead of just, funny purple man comes back in bunny suit. I honestly can't wait to see if they continue adapting the books into games, and if the rumors I've heard are true, it sounds like they're planning on doing Fetch next. But again, that's just a rumor as of now, I'm pretty sure. Take it with a grain of salt, big grain of salt, a pound of salt. Metric ton of salt. Into the Pit might very well be the game that can save FNAF, unless Steel Wool can get their shit together, which I hope to God they can do. But let me know what you think. Do you agree with what I said, or do you think I should kill myself? Let me know in the comments down below. And now to talk about the giveaway. As I mentioned, Mega Cat sent me 3 Steam keys to get Into the Pit for free, and I want to give all of them away to you guys. They said they wanted me to use one of them for me, and then to only give away 2, but nah, I want to give all of them to you guys, dude. I can afford to spend the money on the game, but I know there's people out there that can't, so I want to give away as much as I can. So, if you want a chance to get one of these keys, all you have to do is subscribe to the channel and go to the link in the description to the giveaway Google form and fill it out. 1 week after this video comes out, I'll pick 3 people on the Google form at random and send you the keys. Gotta be quick though, you've only got a week from this video uploading. Also, in the last video, I asked you all when you thought the FNAF series should have ended, and why. My favorite answer is this one by Joseph Keane. They mentioned how at that point in Five Nights at Freddy's 6, there were characters that felt important, and how the ending was super emotional, and I totally agree. FNAF 6's final monologue is one of those speeches where you can do nothing but just stare, as everything is laid out to you, and you know it's coming to an end. All you can do is sit there and listen. It was such a phenomenal ending, and I think it's disgusting that Help Wanted and Security Breach brought Afton back again. It's a complete slap in the face to everything Michael and Henry were fighting for. It's just not good anymore. But the question of this video is, do you think Five Nights at Freddy's Secret of the Mimic will be good, and why? I want some well thought out answers for this one, because I definitely have my thoughts and expectations, and those could be a whole video by themselves. So I really want to hear what you guys have to say. But with the question being asked, I've been Dexter, and I'll see you guys in the next video. See ya!